Good morning, friends. Ash here, NPMP News. It's October 20th, 2025, and I apologize for being away for so long, but I've been dealing with personal issues that I have no control over, so I apologize. There's been many different things have been happening since I started to do this project, which was really just trying to be a voice in the darkness that wasn't somebody that had any kind of government contacts, as being somebody who is a survivor of some kind of program that has scarred my body and erased part of my memory, as being trying to be a voice talking about how can we ascend out of the matrix, how can we ascend from the third to the fourth and fifth densities, which is we're all doing, whether you realize it or not. I wanted to be somebody that was trying to be an honest truth teller, way shower, and not to be someone that is making a profit off of the times that we find ourselves in, unfortunately. And so I activated myself not as part of any group or part of any larger organism, just to try to tell the truth and to look for information, right? To show that we the people can be the news, and we could find the truth if we come together in collectives. And what I've started, and one of my first digs that I've ever did, was the human stock exchange, right? The fact that we're turned into a commodity of the state, of the corporation of the United States when we're born, and you're given your slave name and your slave number, which is your social security, and your birth certificate number, right? Your certificate of live birth. There's so many different pieces of information coming out, right? We found out that not only are 50,000 people getting SNAP benefits that may be doubles, that may be getting double. They found one of the SNAP cards had $50,000 balance on a SNAP card, on an EBT card. Could you imagine? Nobody's got that. Even if you're not using your benefits for years, right, and just letting it stock up, that must be the only way, right? There's people getting SNAP that shouldn't get SNAP. There's people getting SNAP twice. There's people getting SNAP that should never have gotten SNAP. There's illegal aliens getting SNAP benefits. There's 5,000 dead people, at least, or more, on the SNAP rolls. Just like there's millions of dead people on the voter rolls that, in certain blue states, that never got expunged. What's some of the other things that have been going on? Trump ordered the DOJ to release all Epstein files in 30 days. So the Democrats got their wish. Now, what you're starting to see is there's certain people like Miss Plaskett, who was caught texting Epstein directly while she's in a hearing, right? Asking Epstein, hey, what should I ask this guy? I forgot which hearing she was doing that for. Trying to hurt Trump in the hearing. What should I ask him about? She's directly texting Epstein, right? Stacey Plaskett, she's the Virgin Islands representative, who, of course, the Virgin Islands representatives were bribed by Epstein, we saw in earlier digs, right? Which is how he's allowed to move around through the Epstein Island and stuff. Now, I also looked back and I found somewhere I saw something that said that Ghislaine Maxwell can operate a submarine, and had operated submarines that had gone from one location to Epstein Island to deliver certain people. So I don't know what, we've got to get into that more. President Trump gave the Department of Justice 30 days to release all the files collected. Now, why aren't they saying, hey, listen, we pinged these 200 phones pinged on the island. Let's get that list out. That's the list you really want, because that's the people that were all there. But there's some kind of a misnomer going around that just because you didn't go to Epstein Island means you're somehow not guilty. Well, how about you're hanging around with Epstein and Ghislaine for 15 years, as Trump was? You don't think that he did anything else somewhere else with maybe young kids? I do. He's trying to go out on a yacht with Epstein with all these teen pageant girls by themselves, with almost nobody else around. Right? Zoran Mamdani's endorsement of controversial New York Assembly candidate who minimized 9/11 draws backlash. So there's a lot of people that don't like this guy, Mamdani. We'll have to see what he does. He's leaving the NYPD Commissioner Tisch in place, which is probably a smart play, I guess. If you don't want to look like even more of an anti-Semite by getting rid of one of the only Jews that's in your cabinet so far. I'm sure he's going to fill his cabinet with a lot of people that some people might not like. Prince Andrew had consensual sex with one of Jeffrey Epstein's employees. Well, we know that Epstein had different people working for him, or that appeared to be, that were used as, to get sexual compromise on certain people. The former Duke of York had consensual sex with one of Jeffrey Epstein's employees. Let me go back to the list I was here. So that's another article I was following. I was on Bongino Report. I'm going through all different places trying to cull information and then see where that leads us to what kind of conclusion. The conclusion I'm at now is we don't know who the president is. There's doubles of him walking around. I see once in a while this white-haired Trump pops back up, but then most of the time it's this other Trump. And if you listen to people like Benjamin Fulford, he's alleging that these guys, that's not Trump. They haven't seen the real Trump since June, they're claiming, these people, if you believe them. Furious Trump orders Pam Bondi to investigate Bill Clinton over the Epstein files after exploding at weak Republicans. So it might backfire now, right? Because we know Clinton rode the plane 26 times, which means that he was probably on the island, right? Because those weren't all overseas trips. No, he was going to... Yeah, he went to Africa with that trip with Kevin Tucker, and Epstein went, but see, we never got back to where the photos of Clinton with Chelsea Handler, not Chelsea Handler, sorry, the other handler, what was it? Rachel Chandler, child handler, right? Ray Chandler, sorry, child handler, right? The one that was pictured also with Diddy, the young blonde that was pictured with Diddy, right, as well as Eminem, as well as Clinton, right, all underaged, I believe, in all three. Now, I'm not saying Eminem and Diddy did anything possibly wrong with her. I'm assuming that they had some kind of sexual relation with her, though, because she's in the picture with them, and she's young. And she's attractive, of course. She's the one who later has that modeling agency with the very young children that look sort of as if they've been abused and starved, and they look skinny, and right, we remember that modeling agency. I believe that agency still exists. She's never been touched. Her name's never come up in anything. Her name never came up in anything that I've ever seen, any case. Does that get us back to Ray Chandler? And does that open up another can of worms that leads us down a rabbit hole to child sex trafficking and other stuff, adrenochrome harvesting? Because we still never got to any of that. We never saw any proof that there was adrenochrome harvesting, just photos and things. I've seen photos that apparently look like adrenochrome canisters in Germany or some country like that, where they have these centers, but we never seen any proof anyone's even in Gitmo that there's any. These people keep saying that there's trials going on at Gitmo right now. We have no proof that that's true. Not that I've ever been able to find. If there were Gitmo tribunals going on, wouldn't the press be all over that? Reporting on it every day? How can that be kept out of the press? Plaskett melts down on the House floor as lawmakers advance measure to censure her and strip her from the Intel Committee. Yeah, you're texting a known pedophile while you're questioning a witness, or you're about to question a witness. You're messaging a known pedophile. What are you doing? Walmart CEO stuns Wall Street as he suddenly announces he's stepping down after nearly 12 years. Well, shit, these guys got all kinds of money. Why? I wouldn't want to be working. I'm the Walmart, in that family. Just send me my check every month. I'll be in Bali, bro, or wherever. On some beach with two hot blondes or whatever I'm doing. I'm playing golf. I'm working on my tennis game. I'm doing art. I sure as fuck ain't working. Not for the family. No, why would I want to do that? I got all kinds of money. I want to pursue my acting career. I want to model. I want to whatever, right? I want to work on my body. I want to do yoga. I want to be a poet. I want to be an artist and live on an island for a month or a year without my hot girlfriend or whatever, right? I'm just saying, the last thing I'm doing is working in the fucking office, looking at spreadsheets and shit. That, to me, is death, right? I don't want that. No. I want to be doing what I want to be doing. If I only have a finite amount of time on this, whatever this is we're in, this matrix or this, why the hell would I work? If it's not real, if it's a simulation, have some fun. What are we doing, right? Why am I slaving away at some shit job that I hate for 5 days a week for, and I'm missing out on my kids' lives and my friends' lives and my life, and then all of a sudden you wake up and you're 45 years old. And trust me, it'll come. You might not be there yet. It'll happen quick, trust me. And then all of a sudden you don't got so much time left, and the better years that you had are behind you, and then are ahead. And you just, and what do you got to show for it? Maybe some fucking watch, a car in the driveway, a house, maybe, if you're lucky. You can't get those years back, right? What I'd give to be 20 again with the knowledge I have now. Schumer's not expected to run again. Chuck Schumer, Chuck the Schmuck. Schumer said he's not going to run again. He plans to retire. He's not sure. I think he's done. He's probably done. His political power is waning. His usefulness is over. The party's gone farther left than he even wants to go. AOC's power is rising. You don't see anybody trying to get rid of her. We're in deep, deep trouble here in New York City, friends. Deep, deep trouble. It's not looking good. Seattle's new socialist mayor, Katie Wilson, vows to Trump-proof the city. So, again, we're stuck in this chaos loop. You think that Trump's doing the right thing. He's fighting the enemy. The Democrats are fighting Trump, but they're all really in on it together, is my guess. So I don't know if anyone's heard about this, but Benjamin Fulford is alleging that a video exists of Donald Trump giving Bill Clinton oral sex. I didn't report that. I'm just saying what I heard Benjamin Fulford talking about it. Now, the video that he's showing looks doctored to me because I've seen that video before. It's an old video of a younger Trump with Clinton. I think they had golfed together. And it shows Trump tapping Clinton's private area, like right in the front of his pants and tapping his stomach. I think it's doctored. It looked like it was to me. Could Trump have given Slick Willie oral? I don't know. There's an allegation that the Russians have some kind of video or whatever. Well, then bring it on. Get that shit on TMZ Stat or wherever you got to put it. But put it out there then. Like, what are we doing? I mean, enough with this crap, right? There's all these people keep coming out of the woodwork and talking about stuff that they say are allegations that they cannot prove are true or not. If you can't, you don't have the video, and you don't have the picture, and you don't have positive, And plus, YouTube is just flooded with AI now. Flooded with it. You can't, it's everywhere. All of a sudden, these videos are coming out of the woodwork. Some eagle's leading some guy into the forest to find his trapped eagle mate. Like, come on, dude. Eagles don't go up to people's door and, ring the bell and shit, or stand there and But I have seen stories where, an animal's been trapped, or, something like that, or some other animal, and then, I have seen that before, so... But this looked fake, right? Like bunnies on a trampoline and shit. Come on, man. Democrats delete post falsely claiming that Trump spent Thanksgiving with Epstein. The allegation resurfaced from a batch of docs released by the House Republicans. He didn't spend Thanksgiving with Epstein, but they did have some dinners together, right? We know that from the testimony of the Epstein's housekeeper. That he made dinners for Trump and Epstein more than one time at Epstein's house, which was, I think, less than 2 miles from Mar-a-Lago. You want to distance yourself from the guy, but you were pretty intimate with these people for quite a number of years, right? The pictures prove it. You were seen all over the place with Ghislaine. Trump to deport Ukrainians back to bombed out war zone to fight Putin. Trump sending some Ukrainians back. Okay. Is this thing almost over finally? I mean, it looks like, I can't believe it's stretched on this long. I can't believe that the people in control have not released these healing modalities as more and more people pass away. As people's parents die. And then what? You're going to release these modalities in another year or two and say, hey, sorry. Yeah, we could have cured your parents 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, but we didn't do it. We screwed you. We let you watch your parents suffer and die for no reason. Your pets suffer and die for no reason. But you love us still, right? We're still hooking up Pfizer. Who was just at that big dinner, right? Sitting next to Elon. Who's he talking to? Borla. Pfizer. Why? Why do you continue to be with these people, support them instead of coming out? I watched a couple of, I am heartened because when I went back on the gram, Instagram, I found a lot of people doing conspiracy type sites that have a lot of information that I didn't even know. Like, did you know that Richard Pryor used to have his own television show that got canceled? And it said they got canceled because he did some episode where they're in Egypt looking for some pyramids, and they get into this secret pyramid and they find all this secret stuff like the elixir of life, and then he finds the book of life, and in the book of life it says that they were all that there were black people on the planet at first, and then aliens came. And I've heard that story before. And he's like, oh man, black people made the whole planet and they lied to us. Well, I'm gonna get this information out there, and they lock him in the pyramid. They lock Richard Pryor in the pyramid so he can't get the info back out to the world, right? It was crazy funny, but there was another video that struck my fancy because they were talking about this 3 concoction elixir that can heal and kill a lot of pathogens and parasites, and it was what was the 3 things? It was wormwood, right, was one, which of course you can find in absinthe and other places. Black walnut, right, which I'm always talking to you about, that I take the black chia seed. Anything black is good like that. Black walnut, black chia. There's a couple of others that I can't remember, but black walnut, super powerful. But it has to be in the green husk form, apparently. And clove. So it's clove, wormwood, and black walnut. In that concoction, and I don't know the precise, so don't quote me, and don't just go taking a whole bunch of these things, but look into it. But these 3 in conjunction have a huge healing power, healing modality to it. So we need to go get into that. And I just watched a video where a guy was talking about that he helped either a friend or himself to become basically pH balanced, right? Which is, in other words, if you have cancer, they say you need to become alkaline, right? If you can become alkaline, cancer can exist in an alkaline body. If you can remain consistently alkaline, which you can test your alkalinity levels, right? There's tests where you can do it. You can drink alkaline water now, they have, right? You can try to get alkaline, where your body's in that green zone where, like, yeah, if you're in that perfect alkaline state, whatever that is, cancer has a real hard time growing in that state at all, or it may not be able to, right, is my point. They don't want you to fucking know that, of course, right? They don't want you alkaline. They want you filled with sugar, because sugar is what tumors need to grow, right? So you got to starve that tumor of its... And that's what things like, I think, ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine and these kinds of natural modalities can do. They just don't want you to know about black walnut. They don't want you to know about clove. They don't want you to know about wormwood. Wormwood's a super interesting thing to look into. You ever drink absinthe? Gotta go easy. Don't want to get too into that. I had a little absinthe before. It's not as... it can be strong. I mean, it's not like moonshine strong, but it's a different kind of alcohol. It's a different kind of fermentation process, right? This stuff can take you to somewhere else. So you need to be careful with when you're consuming absinthe. It's illegal in some parts. I think it was illegal in most of the United States for a long time. I used to work for a guy who owned a bar that had absinthe, and he would sometimes have me come down. We do some absinthe, drink some absinthe together. He had an old school way that he would prepare the absinthe, where you're pouring it over the sugar cube and stuff like that. I think he poured over a sugar cube. I can't remember. It's a long time ago. I don't drink alcohol anymore. So look into clove, look into black walnut, and look into wormwood, and just be easy with it. I'm not a doctor, but I've watched some videos. The other thing somebody was talking about was baking soda with molasses and just some water, that he got himself alkaline and helped deal with his cancer that way. So yeah, I mean, molasses, baking soda. I've heard great things about baking soda. I've heard great things about hydrogen peroxide. Of course, with hydrogen peroxide, you need to be very careful and go through your, there's plenty of online stuff about these things. So go look into those things if you have issues. If you have some kind of pathogen that you think you might have, a parasite, you can do different cleanses, juice cleanses, try cleansing with different things, right? I remember when I had to go get a colonoscopy, and the prep they give you, which is basically just you drinking this liquid that makes you go to the bathroom about 12 times in a row. Number 2, until there's nothing left in your system, right? It's just water's coming out of the other end, basically clear. That's also really good for your stomach, just to sort of as a cleanse, believe it or not. I felt much better. I had stomach problems for many years of my life, and that helped me for quite some time to feel better. It's not pleasant. There's other ways you can do it. Of course, you can fast. There's different fasting modalities you could try to help the body get rid of some of that dense fat that people get as they get older, right? It's harder to get. It's really about this margarine too, right? You need to get real butter. Unfortunately, they tried to lie to us all these years and say that real butter is bad for you. It's actually the opposite. Real butter, especially like that French butter that's made the correct way, it has the proper stuff to help your gut biome. And I was watching this guy talk about margarine. He said there's only one small, what was it? Sorry. Margarine is only one small chemical away from being plastic. It's like one proton away, or whatever you want to call it, right? So it's basically pretty close to you're eating plastic in a sort of soft form, which is what they want. They want you eating wax and plastic. They put wax on your apples and your food, some of it, right? They put all kinds of salts and sugars in your food to make you fat, bloated. And that's how cancer grows in that way, right? It loves that. It loves a high sugar, fat sort of person to grow in, right? It's plenty of energy for it. You're a circuit, right? And it was interesting. I was watching this video where the guy's like, if I put my hands together, I become a closed circuit, right? But if you keep your hands apart a bit, you can make a chi ball, right? You can create energy. In other words, if I take my hands and I put them on either side of your head, and I just start to think about creating energy and flowing through my body, I can pass my energy from my hands through your brain into you. You understand? As a healing modality. You dig? That's what some healers do, right? They call it the healing hands modality. You heal with the hands. Using the energy, the chi, the prana through the body to push that chi into another person, right? And then pull it back out. Pull the disease and the sickness back out of a person. Etherically, right? Etherically, sorry. If Gaza's famine was real, how come it went away so fast? Shift from famine declaration in Gaza to normalcy happens in the space of a few weeks. Well, a lot of what you were seeing over there wasn't actually what was happening, right? They every time there would be anything, there's 40 more people got killed, 30 people. There's all these white sheet filled with bodies, right? But there's almost no blood on some of them, which is not normal, right? If you're getting hacked apart by shrapnel and there's all blood everywhere, right? You put someone in a white sheet, there's going to be blood all over it. And we've seen video like with the white hat, same thing, right? Some of those things were staged where people like were in the rubble and they're helping to save them. Some of that was staged, right? And now with the AI, it's like so anything could almost be anything, right? State Department says overweight visa applicants could be rejected. Yeah, why do we want to bring overweight people here that could become a health issue and a strain on our health system that's already has a strain, right? We don't want your fat and your overweight and your bloated to come here and live and try to get even more fat and bloated in the United States, where there's all kinds of food choices, right? I always thought what it would seem like to somebody who was maybe like a refugee and had food scarcity for many years of their life, to put them in the middle of like a supermarket, like a massive one, right? You ever go to like a Wegmans supermarket? How big that is? It's like it's like a football field sized stadium that's like a supermarket where you can go through and eat all kinds of stuff. You can eat your way through Wegmans and not pay anything, right? There's all this free stuff they give you. Of course, you can't go crazy and just start grabbing things, but you can taste different things, and it's insane, right? Mexican national arrested for string of casino bank robberies in Western Washington. Riverside Fire Authority also reported the theft of a $12,000 jaws of life extraction tool from one of its fire trucks. People that steal. So what they just, you know, so that was the thing, right? Biden. It was a chaos loop, right? We already studied this when we talked about Hydra, when we looked at Captain America, the Winter Soldier movie, where when they let the Nazis come over in the paperclip, did they form like a sort of Hydra within the CIA or whatever? It seems like that seems to be correct, in a sense, right? It might not be called Hydra, but it's some other group of people within the CIA and these groups, right, the NSA, that seem to think that they have clearance above presidential level. These are the people we're talking about. These are the people that have been experimenting on us. But I'm starting to see that change, right? I mean, I'm starting to see the younger generations freaking get it. They're starting to figure it out much quicker than we ever did, because they got the data now, right? We have people like me and 100 other people just like me who've laid down data streams that are free, right? That are not behind a paywall, that don't have anything between you and the information. The links are there, or you can find the links if you go back to each show of mine and you look in the comments. You'll see the different articles that we talked about on the shows, right? Of course, I used to do it with all the links on top, but it just became so arduous. So I pulled up like an old gold note from 1907 just to show you what those look like. Here's a 1907 $1,000 gold certificate. And if you notice, does it say anything about the Federal Reserve? No, because it wasn't created. This isn't a note, right? It's a certificate. See, it says $1,000 in gold coin, right? You can take this note into any bank within the system, plop it down to the teller and say, I want $1,000 worth of gold. And back then, that was a lot of gold, because gold was really cheap. You could have got who knows how many bars. You lay this thing, and you know what you want to buy this? It's $32,000 today to buy this, and it's not worth $1,000 in gold coin. But let's see, what are the metals doing today? They had a good day yesterday. Today they're down. Silver's down 53 cents to 51.04 an ounce. Gold is down $12.40 to 4,083. I saw that Bitcoin had hit 88,000, I believe. I think it's up in 90,000, but those are tanking down. And in kind, Ethereum's lost at least 1,000 off its where it was. It was over $4,000. Now it's I saw it at under 2,900. Ex-GOP aide paid fetish artist to mutilate her, claimed it was an anti-Trump attack. What is going on with these people trying to make these fake things that are going to try to rile us up, right? That's what they're doing. Now you realize that Soros and people like Handro Guis have been using their billions to fund these groups who are creating unrest in the United States. Groups like CARE, groups like Antifa, Muslim Brotherhood. We're infiltrated by multiple people. We're infiltrated by China. We're infiltrated by Russia. We're infiltrated by a lot of different countries. Maryland's $1,400,000,000 deficit, the inevitable result of one-party rule, lawmaker says. Yeah, Baltimore's a port city. It's long been corrupt. Who was once the mayor of Baltimore? Nancy Pelosi's father. So it's been corrupt even before Nancy Pelosi's father was ever involved, and he was allegedly involved with organized crime groups. And the research I did, I was fairly comfortable in that. And what's interesting is when Kennedy taps Pelosi's dad for a role in his administration and they begin to look into his pedigree a little bit, they become uncomfortable with what they're finding as well, right? You can go back and look into my dig about Nancy Pelosi's family and her brother, the alleged rapist, right? Who gets off of a rape charge because his father happened to be the mayor at the time. U.S. said planning to build major base near Gaza for international forces. So we're going to build. They want to build a base also in where was it? In Central America somewhere, right? Right near Venezuela. U.S. said planning to build major base near Gaza. Bitcoin was down 7% to 95,000 and went all the way down to 88,000. Epstein emails expose the reporters who cozied up to the predator in their secret back channels. Hell of a guy. Yeah, it looks like Wolf, and there's a couple of people who are, talking to Epstein, right? He's talking, he's talking to senators and Congress people. He's got direct access. He's allegedly bribing certain Virgin Islands officials, right? So he can sort of move around undetected. If you have a submarine or a helicopter that flies under 500 feet, nobody knows where the hell you're going. Epstein emails exposed these different reporters, right? Like Wolf and others. But where's the photo of Trump that, if it does exist, with the topless girls that allegedly existed? Is that the trump card for Ghislaine Maxwell to get a pardon? Maybe, if she has it in her possession or someone that she knows does. That could be her dead man switch. I don't know, right? That could be somebody's dead man switch. In other words, hey, I got that photo. I have it. If anything should happen to me, right, my dead man switch will be triggered, and guess what? That photo goes to, and copies of it go to TMZ, to ABC, NBC, CBS, the New York Times, USA Today, and the Daily Mail, and 10 other papers. So don't fuck with me, right? That could be somebody's dead man switch. I don't know. I was talking about Nikola Tesla's Teleforce, obviously, right? And his geodynamics proposals. You can look into Tesla's, all of his stuff. Right? It was obvious he was the man. His way of energy beat out Edison, right? It was a better way of energy, using energy. He was using the energy of Niagara Falls to create energy, right? And then he could beam the energy to where he wanted to if he had another Tesla generator at that location. He was talking about beaming energy wirelessly. That's what the Tesla towers are partially there for, to do, but they're also there for free wireless. In other words, I get free phone. They don't want that. Why? Because it's not just free energy then, it's free phone. You're knocking two of the biggest industries out that they make the most money on, right? Why? Because you have to be on the grid if you want energy, and two, if you want a phone, you got to be in the grid. You got to use Ma Bell or whoever, right? You got to use T-Mobile or AT&T or Sprint or whoever. What if that could all be done free? And on top of that, what if those towers are resonating at a vibratory level that is good for humanity? That's a third bonus. So you can see why they don't want that, because it takes all the things that they're doing and it makes them go away. They can't harm humanity anymore. They can't put bad energies onto us to make us feel bad anymore. In fact, energies are going to come onto us to make us feel better and heal and grow faster, and our crops grow faster. Hochul is open to raising taxes on New York corporations to fund socialist Zohar Mamdani's freebies. Well, then you know what those places will start doing? Some of them, they'll start to look at how much they're paying and say, hey, if we go to Texas, they'll offer us a huge, right? They might give us a massive tax break to come if I'm some big company like, say, Facebook or whatever, right? Or if I'm GE or whatever, they might give me even a free piece of land, or they might build out a facility and help me build it out, right, at their cost. So I moved there and offer all the jobs to them. So you got to be careful how much you tax. If you tax too high, you don't have to be in New York. It's a location that a lot of businesses would like to be in. But if you make it, it's already hard for businesses here in New York to function. If you're going to raise taxes on businesses, it's going to make it hard for other people. I was watching Ari's Hitmaker stream, Hitmaker IRL stream. Ari's doing a great thing, man. He really is. He's bringing people together who normally wouldn't come together, possibly. And also, he is showing up the music industry how bad and controlled it is, because none of them will want to go near Ari, right? Like, I would have thought by now that somebody big, like a Timbaland, I don't know, just somebody would have come out of the woodwork and said, hey, man, I want to meet you because I like your producer skills. I like the beats you're making. Because Timbaland's a real beat guy, right? He loves beats. He's a beat maker. He's a hit maker. But none of these guys are even acknowledging Ari for some reason. And he's very talented. He has an ear for music. He can pick up beats real quick. He knows different styles. He can rap. He can freestyle rap. And freestyle rap is hard. I mean, these guys who are doing 64 bars plus, it's not easy to do it. People like Harry Mack, super gifted. Bondi directs SDNY attorney Clayton to investigate Epstein's links to Bill Clinton and Democrats after Trump's request. See, really now you can make the money off the stream, right? You don't need to be a record hero anymore. You don't need to be one of these huge DJs. You can, if enough people are listening to your music like Tom McDonald or somebody, you can make your own money. You don't need the record label. He proved that, right? Whether you like him or hate him, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying he proved that it's possible, right? If you do the legalese the right way, you form your own corporation the right way, you form your own LLC, your own company, you could do it yourself. Look at all these kids streaming and they're driving around in $200,000 cars, wearing $300,000 watches just from streaming on YouTube. It's crazy, right? You don't see any of them going around saying, hey, keep giving me money and I'll give it away to the people and we'll fix ourselves, right? That's all you got to do. You just got to get one Richie Rich type kid who maybe he's rich himself, or maybe they have a network set up where, hey, we're going to keep money funneling through this thing and we're going to honestly look at it so we're not stealing it and we're giving it away to the right things. We're doing the right things with it. We're buying land. We're making land trusts for the people who need land. We're doing things. We're making our own networks, music and other, that are outside these people's power and control. Bondi directs the SDNY attorney Clayton to investigate Epstein's links to Bill Clinton and Democrats. There's going to be plenty there. But it's the SDNY doing it. This is a corrupt organization. Is this new SDNY any better than Letitia James? I don't think much. It's still New York, right? It's still NYC. It's still corrupt. It's not been dealt with yet. So are they going to look into Clinton? They're going to do everything in their power to obfuscate as much as they can. But there's so much there that I don't think they can. Woman flees New York City after cabbie allegedly gropes her and is let off the hook. So this cabbie locked the doors on this girl, groped her, wouldn't let her leave the cab, right? Then is arrested and let back out, and he's still driving the cab. Which means that he could do this to someone else. He should have been arrested and his license immediately revoked. He should not be driving a cab anymore. And his name and photo is in the... So if you see this guy in the cab when you get in, get out quick. Larry Summers now... It turns out Larry Summers flew on Epstein's private jet. in 2005 with Maxwell. He just had to drop out of all of his Harvard stuff in disgrace, right? He's connected directly to Epstein. He was asking Epstein for like dating or sex advice or something. I don't know why he's asking Epstein for sex advice when it's alleged that Epstein's penis looked like a lemon. Democrat rep caught looking at porn on the plane next to stunned passengers. Yeah, this guy's just looking at, I don't know, he's saying he was on Twitter or X.com and the algorithm got him. What are you looking at porn on your tablet in front of other people, dude? What's wrong with you? You can't do it in private like everyone else does? I was watching some videos, and one of these videos came up about semen retention again. You know, there's a lot of guys doing that where, you know, you don't have sex, or if you're not in a relationship, then don't masturbate for long periods of time. People talking about keeping their seed and stuff like that. I understand that. That's why a lot of boxers do, to keep their vitality. They don't... used to be Tyson wouldn't have sex, not always, but for some of the fights. A lot of boxers will not have sex for a certain period of time before a boxing match, etc., right? Keep your vitality. Some people believe that, of course, having sex can sap your vitality, and it can in a sense. It depends on how close I think you would be to the fight, etc., but there is something to be said about semen retention. Maybe try that if you haven't, right? See how long you can go. Missouri trailer park that shares a fence with U.S. nuclear bomber fleet is owned by a couple with ties to former Chinese Communist Party intelligence agent. So this trailer park is right near a base again, and somebody bought it that allegedly, you know, we got to keep watching what's going on around our military bases. Who's buying the land within 50 miles of every military base, right? It could be something very suspicious. If you don't get them out, you're not going to have much of a country left. Donald Trump says Britain should deport illegal aliens as soon as they arrive, and that Europe is not the same place. Yeah, I mean, I think England's worse than the United States right now in terms of that. They're a much smaller nation that can't afford to take in the amount of people that they're taking in. And what you're seeing in places like the United States is, yeah, these people can come here, but there's not much for them to do. I've seen many a migrant woman sitting in the street begging with her children. It's getting cold out here. Temperature's dropping, baby. 43 degrees out there today. It's getting rough in the city, right? It's only going to get colder. I've been writing about October the 7th rape horror since day one. These new accounts of sex assaults on men, women, and girls expose even greater depths of Hamas's depravity. Yeah, I mean, one of the guys, right, who's getting abused by another male is saying, hey, this isn't in the Quran, dude. You're not supposed to molest other men, right? And of course the guy says, well, you know, no one's gonna believe you. You won't tell anybody. Right? So these people are breaking all the laws of the Quran and by doing what they were doing, right? By raping other people and hurting them and sexually molesting them, making them fear for their lives, torturing them, depriving them of food and sleep. Kash Patel hired deputy FBI director with no background check and extraordinary vetting breach. He hired Dan Bongino with no background check. Now, he is former Secret Service, which may be why. They already vetted him, but still, you should have had to re-vet him again. What's he been doing since last? You don't know who is his talking to. He does a large news channel. Right? Patel also used the FBI unit to guard his girlfriend, right? Which is coming out of your taxpayer dollar. Miami Beach socialite trapped underage girls on his mega yacht and used them for sex, cops say. Daily Mail. Kute Saturoglu. Well, that could be what maybe Epstein had done. Once he gets these girls to the island, I got your passport. Where are you going to go? You can't get off the island. Yeah, there's another island nearby, but there's shark-infested waters. It's not a easy swim. You're trapped there. There's no airport. There's no police to call. Miami Beach socialite trapped underage girls on his mega yacht. Kute Saturoglu, 45, was taken into custody Wednesday after being accused of sexually and physically abusing a 17-year-old girl. Looks like a real winner, this guy. Tell you what. That's a face only a mother could love. Somebody broke his nose. All right. Heartbroken MTG savages Trump and leaks brutal Epstein text that sparked president's breakup announcement. It's funny. Everyone's saying, oh, well, the Democrats fell into a trap. Well, I mean, it's going to implicate some of them, too, but I think it's going to implicate a lot of them. We'll see what else comes out about Trump and Epstein, though. Does anything else interesting about that come up? Does that picture exist? Epstein emails reveal how he tried to weasel his way into Trump's orbit and asked for photos of his children. Yeah, how did he weasel in? He used Ghislaine. She's the one that, remember, he knew her father, a long time back. They had met back in 1989. Fast forward two or 3 years later, 1990 is the first time I think Epstein's seen with Ghislaine, and then 91, 92, all of a sudden Ghislaine's hanging out with Trump a lot. And they continue to hang out all the way through to the 2000s and after, right? Or at least to 2000. So there's almost a decade where they're hanging out. From the early 90s all the way to 2000. And maybe beyond. But then, of course, other things start to happen. 9/11 happens. World events change. We're sent into this sort of chaos loop that never ends. Right? We go into Afghanistan and, of course, for 20 years to protect the poppy cultivation. 13 tons of coke headed for the U.S. seized by Panama. All of a sudden, these people are doing their job, right? When normally it would have probably just passed right on through. 13 tons, that's not a little bit of coke, right? That's a lot. So major shipments are now starting to get intercepted, which is big. That hurts the cartels. If I was trying to watch the show Landman, right? It's about the oil guys, down in Texas and stuff, right? And it's super interesting because they're dealing with cartel issues down there where the cartel is interdicting into these people's lands and saying, hey, you know what? We own this land, or maybe it's in Mexico or some of these, I don't know, but they're trying to basically use that land to smuggle drugs on oil land, sometimes on oil leases. So that's interesting. I didn't know that happened. It allegedly does. Well, of course, it's not hard to prove that it does. I'm assuming it does. Unindicted co-conspirator and largest terror financing trial in U.S. history congratulates socialist Seattle Mayor-elect Katie Wilson. In the 2025 election cycle, CARE Action, the organization's political arm, endorsed or publicly celebrated a slate of Democratic candidates across Washington and the U.S. That's post-millennial. Consumers to pay less as Trump lowers tariff on AG products, agricultural products. I wrote, so that means it was Trump and the tariffs that made certain foods and items more money, ? What about inflation too? It's both, right? Your dollar's worth less. Right? Why is all of a sudden a hamburger like at a deli a diner cost $20, $25? Right? Chinese food dishes that several years ago, you were paying maybe, I don't know, half of what, right? All of a sudden now it's $15 for every dish. Republicans destroyed Democrats in the shutdown battle, and the receipts prove it. PJ Media. Yeah, it hurt the Democrats more. Their party is literally in shambles right now. And it looks like it's the new power structure is coalescing around this communist leftist party, which is what they really always were and wanted to become. Indiana Attorney General subpoenas Amazon, sues Indianapolis schools over migrant trafficking. Which is interesting, right? Because what do these people do? The same people who are responsible for this kind of ideology, they're the same people that that destroyed Russia and the Tsars, right? And funded that whole uprising. Right? They didn't like the czars. They wanted Russia to become more communist. And that's exactly what happened after that, right? They killed the Tsar, the royal family off, and they took it in a whole other direction with Stalin. And how many Russians did Stalin kill? Upwards of 40 million, I believe, of his own people. That's way more than Hitler ever did. You want to talk about some of the biggest killings of your own people? Go look into what Mao did and certain people in China or dictators did. Who do you think got Mao into power in China? It was democratic intellectuals in the United States going over in the Yale China program, where Yale is having Chinese students come to the United States and sending American students to China back in the early part of the 20th century. Indiana Attorney General subpoenas Amazon, sues Indianapolis schools over illegal alien trafficking. So wait, you're trafficking illegal aliens to Indiana too? Yeah, to the whole United States. New York's a big hub. They come in through two parts of New York to the port sometimes. They come through from South America into to Texas and New Mexico and Arizona. They come in sometimes to Florida, and they work their way up through I-95 corridor to different cities out to the west and to the east, and to the north, I mean. YouTube seems to be back. I finally got to upload my more videos, but no one's really watching them anymore. There's a lot of people posting these small videos on there that sort of blank out your video and push it down in the feed. So I think a lot of people probably abandoned YouTube. So if you want, you can all follow me on YouTube. You can follow me here on Rumble, and of course I'm also on NPNP News on YouTube, back trying to go on there too on YouTube. So, but you can't find us. If you look us up on YouTube, you won't find us at NPNP News. And we're also on Twitter, right? At NPNP News on Twitter, x.com. So there's multiple ways you can see the videos. And they're always free. There's no paywall. There's no advertisements. So it looks to me like you're moving human beings to Indiana as well as to New York and to other states. We know that. The question is, who's really behind it and who's profiting from it, and why doesn't it stop? The other big part of this is what Mike Gill's talking about, and he finally came out from hiding. He had been sick. They're apparently trying to kill him. Part of what's coming out also is the fact that the fentanyl creation is not just happening outside the country and it's being brought in. The precursors are being brought into places like Mexico and then assembled into fentanyl and brought into the country. But there's also people within the United States making it. Mike Gill's alleging Dick Anagost and others are running a massive network that's money laundering and doing all kinds of other crimes. From New Hampshire, right? So we got to start looking into that more. And that's the Penn National angle of this. That's the stuff that gets back to Trump and the early casinos that he has and how those all folded. Well, why did those fold? Maybe they were supposed to fold, right? They're a money laundering mechanism, and then when they start to catch on that you're doing it, you fold, right? You go bankrupt before they find out. And then all the records get expunged and you hide it as best you can, right? You have two sets of books. You got the books you show the feds and the books that you have, the real books. Here's a game changer. Patel just scored a big win with China. Why was it allowed to go on for this long? So Patel goes over to China and all of a sudden they say, okay, we won't poison you anymore with the fentanyl. We'll stop. But there's people selling fentanyl inside the country. There's networks set up with the old lady from Arizona that got arrested, remember? She was sending fentanyl all over the country. You think she's the only one doing it? No. There's cartel people operating within this country that are here, right? Why was this allowed to go on for so long? I don't know. Because it's profitable, right? That's why. Why do you think they made Kensington into the zombie land? Because it's profitable. You don't need a lot of fentanyl to get high. It's easy to produce. It's 100 times more lethal than heroin. So it's a bonus, right? We get to kill a lot of Americans, one, and we get to make a lot of money doing it too. Do our junkies last a long time? No, but that's okay. We'll just make more. Democrat Plaskett was texting Jeffrey Epstein during Michael Cohen hearing. Right, it was the Cohen hearing. Here are some of the texts. So I wrote, WTF, what the F? Epstein is literally coaching her during a hearing. It's insane, I wrote. Yeah, it's just unfreaking believable. You're literally texting a known pedophile during the Michael Cohen hearing. She's saying, well, what do I ask him? Quick, it's about to be my turn. What should I ask him? Are you kidding me? Ukraine's justice and energy ministers resign as anti-corruption probe uncovers major kickback scheme. So there we go. DrewBerquist.com. Yeah. There's all kinds of graft going on in Ukraine. It's a major center for, drug production. They're saying human trafficking. They're saying smuggling of human body parts and all that stuff. So show it already. What are we waiting for? Britons believed the country was happier and safer 50 years ago. Oh yeah, it's much safer, much better. Although a lot of people were on the dole. And still are. The dole, which is same as SNAP, right? They call it the dole over there. You're on the dole, right? Government's taking care of you. You don't got no job. I am unemployed. I am work deficient, whatever you want to call it. Paycheck deficient. How about that? Another doctored BBC clip of Trump has surfaced. So they keep doctoring Trump. They're putting themselves out of business right now. Trump's going to get rich off these assholes. Or whoever that is if it's not Trump. It's not the real Trump. Is he doing some of the things right? It looks like he is. He's deporting certain people. But the big things he's not doing. He's still hanging out with Bourla and Pfizer. And I just got this feeling that they're going to try to do it one more time with this fucking disease bullshit. But I don't think people are going to let him do it this time. Right? They're already trying. I saw an article that said the guy has a disease that no one's ever seen before. What are you talking about? Where did it come from? Blue State suspect freed without bail returns to assault the same victim again 6 hours later. This is in Maryland. Imagine the guy they finally captured the guy. You're all happy. Oh, thank goodness I don't have to worry about that person. And 6 hours later, guess who's back at your house? The same motherfucker. And he's going to hurt you, and there's nothing. What are you going to do about it? Nothing you could do. That's where we are, Until they start putting people, I don't know what they're trying to make us do. Just become vigilantes, I guess? Is that what you want people to do? Just start shooting everybody who comes on their property, taking care of it ourselves? Because, you can do that. It's the chaos society that's called, right? Where everybody has a weapon. Like some of these towns where it's mandatory. It's in the ordinance of the town that you have to own a firearm. Remember that town we were talking about? I think it's in Georgia. Where it's mandatory that every home has at least one firearm. What do you think the crime rate is in that town? It's pretty low, right? Why? Because every house has a gun in it. Are you going to go break into the house if you know there's a gun in there and a person has a gun in there? I'm not doing that. I'm going to skip that house. I'm going to look for a house when no one's home. Hated New York City street prankster goes viral after getting well-deserved stomp kick. So I love this. Here's a guy, he's pretending to be in one of these big orange construction cones, scaring people as they walk by. And he was scaring old women, by the way, before he was doing this, which is not cool, right? Why? Because old people can get scared. They can have a heart attack if you do that and die. Did you know that? You're not supposed to jump out and scare old people like that. It doesn't bode well. So here's the guy. Here's the picture. You can see a guy's crossing the street in Lower Manhattan. This is like Wall Street area, financial district. And this guy's in an orange cone. He's hiding, but if you look closer, you can see his shoulders sticking out the side. Of course, from the back, you can see his feet. He has a little thing. And he jumps up and he scares the guy. So the guy comes back after a couple of seconds, and he kicks him right in the back. And the kid goes flying right here. He gives him a nice kick right in the back so he can't sit up again. He goes flying over, and then he chases the guy down the street. I asked him, why'd you do that? Because you're standing and you're scaring the shit out of me, people. That's why. You're an asshole. Don't scare people just to get a rise and you get views on your stupid YouTube channel. Right? Figure out how to do something else that can captivate the public's attention in a positive way. And now you can see what they're doing with these reels type things, with these very short clips. Like, that's why they brought out TikTok. Don't you see it? They want you watching really short reels of things that are only like a minute or two long. That lowers your attention span even more. And then you watch another one, and another one. And it's like instant gratification. You want the next one, and the next one. What's the next one going to be? I don't know. Some cool thing, something. That's all bullshit. It's making it so you have no attention span. Zero. That's why. How are you going to sit and watch a 2-hour show or listen to a 2-hour show from some guy like me? You're not going to be able to do it. You don't have the attention span. You're going to be smoking a doob or going to smoke a blunt or go hang out with your girlfriend and do something. You're going to be running around on some stupid game playing, Grand Theft Auto 6 or whatever, right? I always thought Grand Theft Auto 3 was the best version. That was my favorite, to be honest. But I'm a PlayStation 2 guy, so I don't know. Last PlayStation I had was 2, baby. I got out early because I realized this shit is getting way too realistic. So NASA says that here's the best quality images, right? Of AI Atlas. We're going to show it to you now. We're going to show you really the clearest stuff so you'll know what it is, right? And they just showed a bunch of blotchy crap. Well, here's one of them that looks really interesting to me. Like, what is this? Right? What is this? Does this look like a comet to you? Not really. There's like a glowing orb in the center. There's a green ring around it, and like there's 7 other concentric rings that go on. It looks like the big eye of Horus. Holy crap! What is this? And then this picture came out where it's glowing. I mean, literally glowing in the center, yellow, with a red ring, a purple ring, a green ring. And then there's this object here that looks like it could be another craft. Is this thing a comet? I don't know. I've never seen a comet look like that. And then some people are saying that these are other craft that might be with it, right? If this thing is the size of Manhattan, well, this could be the size of... Still pretty big, right? Manhattan's pretty big. What's inside this thing? Is it all energy? It looks like it's all energy, right? But then there was these other pictures came out that were like not this picture. Right? Then it looks all blurry and like, wait a minute, what's that? That looks like some other type of thing, right? Muslim poet calls Dearborn a jihadi capital. Well, yeah, you made it into one. That's where they let a lot of the Muslims come into Dearborn and Michigan, into Minnesota. They got to do something about that. I don't know what they can do about it. Maybe some of those people's, and now in New York, you're starting to see some of the clerks are not being able to stamp some people's things to make them into citizens here, and they're saying, no, we can't do it. And so they're stopping some of the process here for some reason of allowing new people to come in. You still have people on Canal Street with all these fake items, these different African sellers who are selling stuff on Canal Street by the dozens of them. Why weren't the best images already released? Why are you releasing more images now of AI Atlas? Why didn't you release them before? And is that really the clearest you have? Because that doesn't look like anything we've seen before where it's glowing on the inside. Kugler resignation from the Fed board followed disclosures of improper stock trades. So one of these people was trading on some of the information, which they call insider trading, right? You're not allowed to do that. Let me just check how long I've been at it. About an hour. I need to take a break, guys. On a personal note, excuse me. On a personal note, I know I was told you my dad was ill in the hospital. Unfortunately, my dad passed away on Sunday. So I've been dealing with that, repercussions of that, trying to just think about him and help him, his process of going on to his next incantation, whatever that might be. And of course there's always some there's always some regret that you have that, hey, I wish I had been a little bit closer with my dad, or maybe I wish I had said this or that, and then it's too late, right? So there's all that regret there, as well as different things I've had to deal with. It's made this process particularly much more difficult. But excuse me, I'm doing the best I can. I appreciate you if you still are listening to this channel. At this point, I know there's not too many people left listening. Maybe that's because of my views have changed towards Trump and certain things. Yeah, I mean, how could they not change if you have to watch your family members die? When you know that there's probably a healing technology that's being suppressed that could have healed them, right? Of course, you're going to be upset that technology was not released in an expeditious manner, so that not only your family member could live, but others' family members and pets could live. Yeah, I'm angry that my government has been poisoning me since I was born. I'm angry that my government has made me into a commodity since I was born, given me a slave name and told me to go out and earn money for them. I'm angry about a lot of things. That's why I'm still doing this 5.5 years into this. That's why I'm still going. Otherwise, I probably would have committed suicide years ago and just checked out of here because I didn't see another way out. Now I do see a way out, but the only way out is for us to get the way out together, is by us realizing we are in a fake matrix, we are in a fake thing, and destroying it together. And that's what we're doing little by little. Is Trump a part of that? I don't think so. Because if he was, he would have been releasing these modalities much sooner that would have woken us up as a collective much sooner. If healing modalities had come out in 2017, you would have saved how many millions of people's lives that you didn't save? How many millions of people's lives would you have saved if you would have given everybody hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin right away, instead of enriching Pfizer and Moderna? So friends, I come to you with a heavy heart, but at the same time a more resolved heart that's even more resolved to see this thing through to the end, and hopefully to our freedom, to catalog it and to also make people in the future understand that not everybody in this time was running around just twiddling their thumbs on their cell phone, watching Real Housewives of wherever, right, and doing all this bullshit. There were some people that actually gave a shit. There were people that actually fought back and gave up years and years of their lives with no pay, with no acknowledgement almost at all, to try to share the truth with other people, to try to make news archives of this time so that people in the future would know and never forget and never let this happen again. So that's kind of why I'm here. And to also clear my family line and of any kind of bad karma that may have come up, right? And that's what we're all trying to do. Clear our own karma, lay our ego and karma down, forgive and love self, right? And then forgive all others who have hurt us. And in that forgiveness, there's a freedom that we're all looking for so bad. So friends, I'll be right back. I appreciate you. Thank you for letting me be long-winded. I appreciate it. And I'll be right back in just one moment after I get the coffee, and you could do in the meantime, do some push-ups, sit-ups, and burpees, and I'll be right back. Thanks, friends. Okay, friends, I'm back. Thanks for that break. I really did need that. I appreciate you. So an article just came out about Comey, and it was interesting. It goes back to the friend of Comey's, the lawyer, who he's sharing information with. If you remember back in the 2000, after Comey comes out and makes that statement about Clinton, right? We had to reopen some investigation into Clinton, and it changed the whole election, right? So this article says, I hate having to do it. The Comey October surprise in 2016, there was no surprise to some at FBI. DOJ prosecution of Comey sheds more light on the fired FBI director's machinations and on 2016's October surprise. Excuse me. So I wanted to pull this up real quick just because what it shows really to me is that Comey is doing a lot of things that he shouldn't be doing, right? And one of them is he's sharing information with this friend of his who's a lawyer, and he's leaking that information to somebody in the press, I believe, right? Trump blasts seditious behavior as Dems urged to ignore military illegal orders. So now you have the Democrats are saying, well, don't listen to Trump. Right? It looks like we're headed towards something kind of a showdown between where these Dems and are going to lay it down against Trump at some point, right? This is an article from Jerry Dunleavy at Just the News. Months before he was fired as FBI director, James Comey expressed discomfort in the final weeks of the 2016 election when he was compelled to tell Congress that agents had found more Hillary Clinton emails on a laptop belonging to disgraced former Democrat Congressman Anthony Weiner, according to newly released court records. Right, that's when, remember when Weiner has this whole thing on his laptop that's called, what was it? It was, like his rainy day fund, right? Basically, this is the stuff that I'm going to make sure that I keep that makes it so I'm getting out of jail free, right? I'm not going to jail for anything. This is my Alamo right here, right? When shit gets real bad for me, I'm going to pull the stuff in this file out that is compromise against Hillary Clinton and Huma Abedin, who are not collecting the information properly. Their emails weren't being cataloged properly, and we know that Hillary Clinton had a secret server, etc. But plus, he allegedly has video of the alleged frazzle drip video, right? Where it's alleged that a video exists where Hillary Clinton is basically, not to get too graphic, but basically ripping this girl's face off, right, on video. Does that really exist? Was that on Weiner's laptop, etc., where all the cops most of the cops that had seen that video apparently and then later died, right? And under mysterious circumstances, some of them. I hate having to do it, Comey wrote a friend in an email recently made public by federal prosecutors that gives Americans new insights into the ex-director's mindset during the contentious 2016 presidential election. Comey is currently being prosecuted on charges he misled and obstructed Congress when he denied authorizing leaks to the media. See, well, what these people didn't realize was that the people looking into Anthony Weiner were going to find that file on his laptop, right? And they're going to say, wait a minute, a lot of these emails are from Hillary Clinton to Huma Abedin. How has Weiner got these? Well, because he was married to Huma Abedin. And he must have been sneaking around on a computer finding stuff, and he had stuff going that he either downloaded back to another file of theirs, or that was, maybe he was sharing a computer with her and he was seeing these emails, I'm not sure. But he was taking some of those emails and storing them in like a rainy day fund for himself, right? And then ended up paying off pretty big because he didn't end up really doing any jail time for his case, right? As Comey denies wrongdoing and fights to dismiss the charges, the Justice Department has released never-before-seen messages from Comey to his friend and confidant Daniel Richman, showing that Comey expected Clinton to emerge victorious over Donald Trump and shining more light on the so-called October surprise, the Weiner laptop emails, which actually came as no surprise to FBI leaders. In fact, since fired FBI Special Agent Peter Strzok had known about the Weiner laptop email since September of 2016, right? They knew about it already. Well before Comey's email to Richmond, right? Remember, they knew about this, but they kept it real quiet, right? They didn't want that shit coming out because it was going to hurt Hillary. They didn't want Hillary to lose the election over that, but she ended up losing it. It came out, right? Because Comey came out and said and made the comment about it. Comey expected Clinton to be President-elect Clinton after the November 2016 election, according to recently unearthed emails he sent to Richmond, and further emails released this week by the DOJ showed that he was unhappy, but believed he needed to alert Congress to the fact that the Bureau had found more Clinton emails on the Weiner laptop. He had no choice. It has already been sat on since September, right? They couldn't sit on it any longer until the election, past the election. People were going to come find out and say, why did you sit on it so long? And then all of a sudden, Hillary would have been in power with all that's hanging over her. There would have been no way she could have survived the political firestorm. And anyway, they couldn't rig it, right? The rig got turned off somehow. Or did it? Richmond, a former DOJ official and current professor of law at Columbia University, was assisting the FBI during the 2016 election. It's already public knowledge that Richmond later assisted Comey by leaking the so-called Comey memos to the New York Times in 2017 after Comey's firing by President Trump. The DOJ alleges the emails show Comey was aware of and was encouraging Richmond's contacts with the media in 2016, contrary to his later claims to Congress. Comey has pleaded innocent, not guilty. Comey has pleaded innocent and portrayed his prosecution as a political vendetta. Despite going after Clinton for improper use of a private email server, Comey himself was using a personal and anonymous Gmail account to discuss FBI matters with Richmond, the new memos show. Boom. They got him, right? A lot of these people were using fake Gmail. So was Joe Biden, right? And Obama was also using another alias email to communicate with Clinton. That never really fully came out. Comey did not respond to a request for comment sent to him through his lawyer Patrick Fitzgerald. DOJ releases secret emails from October 2016 after Comey lawyer's court request. Last month, Comey lawyer Jessica Carmichael told the federal court that her client moves this court to order the government to provide a bill of particulars as described below. As she argued that Mr. Comey seeks specificity with respect to counts 1 and 2 of the indictment to apprise him of the offenses with which he is charged and to allow him to prepare a defense at trial. The indictment is in its current form does neither. So they're challenging the actual indictment. They're saying it's not valid. This is a much longer article that I don't have time to fully get into, but it obviously appears to me now that Richmond is working with Comey for a much longer period than we find out. And he's actually working also with the FBI, so it's they're using this guy to... It appears that the FBI, through Comey, is sharing information with this lawyer who's then sharing it with the press. And then he lied about that aspect of doing that, right, when he was questioned about it later, Comey. $560 illegal aliens arrested in October during Portland sweep. ICE operation. This comes as the Trump administration increases ICE operations in the sanctuary city. You only found 560 people in all of Portland, Oregon? That's not many. I bet you there's at least a couple thousand more. Border Patrol arrives in Charlotte, North Carolina for immigration enforcement. I hear they're coming to New York soon. Holman is already saying, New York, get ready for increased presence. So that's good. Come in the winter when it's, people are hunkered down. They're not going to be moving around so much. Easier to find them, I guess. Bill Clinton responds to Epstein probe, saying he's not involved. Is there any pictures of him on the island, though? We never saw that far. We've seen him with Ray Chandler, though, in the photo, right? When she's obviously underage. I think she's 15, 16, 17, something like that. Bill to reopen government includes a plan to ban THC gummies, drinks, and hemp. See, they don't want us to use hemp. That keeps the timber industry going, right? Because they want you building your house out of sticks, right? Out of trees, and they want you making your paper out of trees. That supports the timber industry. If you have hempcrete houses and you have hempcrete as a fuel, if you have hemp as a fuel and you're using hemp to create your rope, hemp to create your building materials, and hemp to create paper that's lasts longer than tree paper, you would put the timber industry out of business, and you'd also put a lot of the wood building material people out of business. And by the way, hempcrete doesn't have termite problems like wood does, right? Where if you get some termites in your structure, they can do a heck of a lot of damage to a wood. They can destroy your house. Why would you want to not grow hemp? Hemp is a vital resource to every nation. Every nation should be producing hemp in large amounts and using it for their paper, their rope, their building products, their fuel sources, and making hemp steel and using that for their military and their industrial vehicles where it's 10 times stronger than steel. Here's Flynn DOJ talking on a settlement. What is really the Flynn angle, right? We know that Flynn is connected to these people like Lynn Wood, Patrick Byrne. There's that whole network of people, Wano, Savin, and that group that's operating on one side of this thing, right? Pretending that they're the Patriot News and that they're the Patriots and the good guys. But in my view, they're not the good guys because they're not sharing the proper information. They're fear porn mongering and they're enriching themselves selling silver and different products like MAGA coins and MAGA hat and this crap and MAGA door jackets and silver coins that have Trump's face on it and making profit from that, right? As you're selling fear porn to the public and lying. I don't do that. I never have done that. I never will do it. The people that do that, the majority of those people I do not trust. Mexico anti-corruption protest descends into chaos as thousands of Gen Z demonstrators storm the National Palace. So it looks like there was almost a coup that almost removed Scheinbaum, right, from the... Is his name Scheinbaum? From the president of Mexico, right, who was just elected. It looks like she's in trouble. Pickpocket dealt instant karma after striking in front of a martial arts champion. Yeah, if you're in like Rome and some of these European cities with the metros, be real careful about these pickpockets. They're usually young women who look innocent. And what they do is they get on the train and then they turn around right in front of the door so that you're wedged up against like somebody that's behind you, and then they try to pick your pocket and shit. While you're distracted and jostled and you're trying to get to move around, they get you something. One of these girls had like 15 phones in her bag. Like, I mean, she was stealing people's phones like it was nobody's business. And if you think about how much shit people leave on their phone now that you can like exploit, right? They might have their bank PIN numbers and all bank info, all kinds of stuff. You can pay for stuff with your phone now. So that's why I don't mess around with any of that. I don't use my banking info on the phone. I don't do anything like that. The disturbing rise of AI-generated deportation videos. So now they got these AI videos that are coming out all over the place, and some of them are fake deportation, where it looks like some woman is screaming, and you know they're yanking her by her arms and pulling her away, right? Like it's like people getting. I mean, here in New York, people viscerally seem to react to ICE as soon as they see it. They don't, even if it's removing somebody who's an illegal alien. It's like they want to keep these people here. I just don't understand them. It's almost like they're mind controlled. The whole city is, and it could be that they are, right? If you took the vax and there, who knows what kind of energies could be beamed onto you that could make you into a mind control, right? Or a Manchurian type of candidate, whatever. There's way too much AI, and they're not labeling it all properly. There should be more stricter rules that you have to label the stuff AI so people don't get confused. Well, you could ruin someone's life. They could make a fake video of somebody doing or saying anything now, and they could ruin a person's career. They could ruin a person's life, right? By making a fake video of you saying some kind of racial slur or something, right? Imagine. This is a super dangerous technology that we need to have control over much more tightly. Mamdani taps defund the police champion to head team steering his transition. So he's putting in de Blasio people. And he's keeping Tish as the head of police. Pope returns 62 Canadian Indigenous people's artifacts after 100 years. Why are you stealing Indigenous people's artifacts in the first place? What gives you the right? What other pieces of Indigenous and other people's artifacts do you have from different groups of people over the last 1,000 years that you may have had conquered or taken over in the Crusades, etc.? There's a lot of stuff that needs to be returned. Indiana Attorney General subpoenas Amazon, sues Indianapolis schools over illegal alien trafficking, double confirmation. Suspected Haitian gang members fire at Marines protecting the U.S. Embassy. So you notice they still haven't dealt with the gangs in Haiti. Barbecue's still operating, dude, as far as I can tell. dudes and dudettes. Remember, people used to get pissed at you back in the day when you said dude too much, or guy, or like, or hey, guy. That was what usually someone would call you when they'd forget your name. Hey, guy, how you doing, man? Yeah, good to see you, guy. Fucking jerk, right? That's what you'd say when someone would say that to you. Yeah, you don't even know my name, asshole. See ya, guy. See ya, boss. See ya, dude. Whatever, it could be a million things. Now I hear people saying, hey, cuh, hey, cousin, hey, cuh. Hear the rappers saying, hey, cuh. I get into all kinds of different slang. I mean, growing up in New York, you're exposed to all different kinds of slang. And then there's different slang in different neighborhoods. Different groups of people have different slang. You got to know the rich man slang. Right? You got to be able to turn off that street dialect and go into the rich man's talk if you want to really run stuff in this world, right? Kash Patel drops COVID origin bombshell, PJ Media. Scientists just discovered a quantum physics loophole, and it could finally unlock interstellar travel. I think you already have it. You're just letting it out. Hey, we figured something out, but we figured it out 25 years ago. But hey, whatever. We've had Stargates for a while, sorry. We've had pocket universes set up where we're keeping people, in 20 and back and 40 and back programs for a long, long time. Fucking people's lives up, right? Putting people into secretive programs and waking them back up. But you know what? You made a mistake because you left scars on certain people. You scarred them for life, right? Physically, and now they got asking questions like, what happened to me, right? People began to have regressive hypnosis and find out that something happened to me, right, that I wasn't aware of. My memory was blanked out. You freaking MIB'd me, right? Men in Black, you think that thing's not real? It is real. That thing that erases your memory, it's real. I'm pretty sure it is. So now there's a quantum loophole. Great. Well, let's go to some other place that's not this place. That's what I'm down to do right now. Is there some other dimension I can go visit that's not as fucked up as this one? Let's go there. Because this one is just full-barred. Beyond recognition, right? It really is. At least this planet is. And we need help to fix it. We can't fix it ourselves. We're dealing with a group of people that are more advanced than us, more intelligent than us, who have more resources than us, and we don't even know who they are. Really, right? I mean, if you could say, who are the 5 people that are really fucking doing this whole thing to us? Who is it? You think it's Soros and Hans-Jörg Wyss? No. It's somebody way above them. Right? Is it a bunch of Jews, Shabbat Jews? I think it's somebody way above them. I think it's off-planet, like I said. It eventually gets off-planet. You have to start to get into that mindset of off-planet corporations that exist, right? That are, if this planet is this fucked up, there's got to be other planets where people are even more fucked up than this planet is, right? And are being even more subjugated than this planet. DOJ indicts several Antifa terrorists in Texas for violent ambush at ICE facility. Patel hits back at accusations the FBI lied about Trump's would-be assassin. It seems that crooks, they knew more about him than they're letting on, right? It's obvious that they knew about him 45 minutes before Trump ever arrived there, because the Secret Service crew that was leaving, going off duty, right, that had been on point watching, and they were being replaced by new guys, they made a comment to those new guys before they left. Keep an eye on this kid. He's right there by the picnic table. See him? He's at the place where we're going to be egressing out. Keep an eye on that kid with the glasses by the picnic tables. That was almost a full hour before Trump ever got there. So somehow, after you were told to watch this kid, he was allowed to go scale up top to a roof, unobstructed and unstopped, and shoot somebody, when you had counter snipers right nearby in a window in the same building. That is a level of fucking something up that is way beyond anything I've ever seen. DA Alvin Bragg releases migrant taxi driver charged for repeatedly assaulting female passengers. How can you let this guy go? Well, Brad got in with 70% plus re-election vote, by the way. 70%. So you did this to yourself. National Guard troops sent to Portland, Chicago to leave. Portland needs it bad. They're in bad shape out there. Probably even worse than New York in terms of the people that you put into your elected positions. They're pretty much communist all up and down the line. It seems like there's only a few good eggs left, unfortunately, and they're out of power. So, and then you saw what happened. All these Hollywood guys are going to see Pope Leo, Spike Lee, Kate Blanchett. What happened to all the gold that they said they pulled out from under the Vatican? We never saw that. We never saw. I thought this was supposed to be the last pope. That didn't happen. We're not seeing any justice, right? You're seeing a lot of the MAGA people start to really get upset and question what's going on. As I did about a year and a half, 2 years ago. Right? Or was it longer where I said, I don't know what this plan is, but I don't trust it because I don't see anything happening like what you're saying. Why would you allow Biden to get in? That doesn't make any sense. Right? It's like he knocked the sandcastle down and you got to start all over from the beginning. You can't do it now in 4 years. You don't have enough time. You're going to be a lame duck president by next year. If you're even still president, which I don't know if you will be. ICE leads joint effort to conduct welfare checks on roughly 450,000 Biden-era unaccompanied minors. A Florida grand jury and federal inspector general audits have found the Biden administration placed unaccompanied alien children, unvetted sponsors, and background checks weren't performed. Yeah, a lot of these kids were just thrown in with people that turned out to be, some of them were sex offenders and pedophiles, too. Excuse me. Wild video shows how pistol-packing store owner sent crew of mass robbers fleeing. He just had one 9mm pistol is all you need. And I don't even think he fired a round. Didn't have to. Just brandished it and they left, right? It's easy peasy, baby. Just brandished it once. And hey, I could blow this guy's away. I could kill you. But you know what? I'm going to let you live. But don't ever come back here. I could easily have killed you, probably you. Right? He could have, if he wanted to, killed probably at least 2 or 3 of these kids, or at least hit them, right, if you're a competent shot. It's like this case where these 3 African-American youths broke into a former, I think he's a World War II vet's house, and he happened to have firearms. And this guy ended up killing all 3 of these kids, right? And when the cops get there, they find that these kids, not just are they dead, but they got multiple bullet holes. Some of them have multiple bullet holes in the head. This guy went to town, right? And it's your house, I mean. And then the mother has the gall to say, well, how dare you shoot and kill my child? Well, what do you mean? He broke into my house with a weapon. He was going to kill me or take everything I had. I don't have a right to defend myself. I don't have a right to shoot off 15 rounds at that guy if I want. This guy even came out. Maybe he did fire. The owner chases the thieves out and continues firing. Oh, so he did open up. He did shoot rounds. Video shows the store clerk pushing one of the thieves back over a counter, causing his pants to fall down. Moments later, the store owner appears with a gun, firing shots at the masked gang. Oh, so he did fire rounds. Yeah, that'll tend to make you flee, right? If a round is popping off right near you, you're about to know about it, right? You hear rounds zipping nearby, you want to get the hell out of Dodge, right? Good for him. I would have done the same thing. I would have emptied the whole clip into everybody in the store. That's just my personal, the way I would handle it. If I had the chance to, without hurting myself or anybody else, any innocent people. Of course, you never know what you might do under that kind of duress. Your adrenaline's pumping, right? It's the same thing like when you get into a fight. You think you might react one way, but it's hard to say, right? Everybody's got a plan, Mike Tyson used to say, until you get punched in the face, right? That could tend to change things up real quick, depending on where and how hard you get hit. It might end up shutting your lights out. Border Patrol rounds up 81 illegal aliens in Charlotte raid, so they're starting to, little by little, get some bad people out. That's a good thing. In the case of New York, you're going to need to be taking probably 500,000 people out of here, maybe more. How are you going to do that? Bigwig on Zoran Mamdani's transition team railed against Jews, questioned gay rights, and vile unearthed posts. Horror show. Yeah, these guys, unfortunately, if you look at Zoran Mamdani's past quotes too, it's not too nice. And he didn't seem to have anybody go back over and get rid of his past quotes, and he got caught. And some of these people that he's associated with are the same way. They seem to not like certain groups of people. And that's a problem if you're the mayor, because you have to be the mayor for everybody. You can't dislike anybody. You can't be a racist. Although some of the past mayors were, right? Back in the day, when only white people were in the political spectrum. Canal Street knockoff vendors are back with a vengeance just weeks after dramatic ice fight. They were probably back 2 days later. They don't stop. You got to keep cops walking that beat every day. You know how easy that would be to fix if you just had a cop on either side of the street walking back and forth from Canal? East to west, east to west. They could never come back and set up. They know you'd be back in 15 minutes. They could never operate. All you need is 2 or 3 cops. That's it. Walking along Canal Street on a foot patrol. That's it. It's so easy. It's so easy. 2 on either side, just in case, right? It's good to have a backup in case these guys get violent. And have some big guys doing it, not little cops where they can get hurt. We need some big cops who know how to handle themselves, who have batons, right? You got to give the cops back the baton and have them street patrol. Have them street patrol the Boulevard of Sweethearts. Day in, day out, night and day. 3 shifts, 3 8-hour shifts. 2 or 3 guys on either side of the street. That's all you need. Foot patrol, that's it. With backup if needed, right? That's all. It's so simple, but you don't want to fix it, do you? Nope. You don't want to fix it. You want to keep it going. I even called the guy from down in that district who runs it. I said, how dare you let that get so bad? Why have you been walking around on Canal Street lately? Do you see what's going on with all these food trucks and all this crap that's here? It's destroying the atmosphere. It's polluting the atmosphere too. Trump suggests he could meet face-to-face with Mamdani. Says we'll work something out. Okay, yeah, now you got to work with the guy, I guess, right? Here's Benjamin Fulford. Public anger reaches boiling point as government degenerates into bizarre pornography. I wrote, Benjamin Fulford is now alleging that the Russians have a videotape of Donald Trump giving oral sex to Bill Clinton. And if you think I'm bullshitting, let's go look. If I am. Because I'm not. Let's go watch the video. But that doesn't show anything. That shows Trump allegedly patting the front of Bill's crotch, is what it looks like it's doing. It doesn't want to come up now. It doesn't want that article to come up. There it is. Alright, so here's the video of, it's Bill, it's a younger Trump. They just look like they played golf. They're in some hotel room with other people. Let's watch this video and see what you think. It's a younger Trump patting the front of Bill Clinton's crotch, if you believe it's real or not AI. And that's it. He's got the smiley face. Bill's smiling. He's patting his crotch. Let's watch it again. He's patting his crotch. He's like, what are you doing? What is that? Is that supposed to be after he gave him the fellatio? Just he's patting his crotch to say, okay? I mean, there's a whole bunch of other people there. Memory hold 2. This is disturbing, the guy says. Well, let's hear what this guy says.
This is a real photograph of Trump and Bill Clinton, and it kind of makes the recent Epstein email disclosures make a little more sense. So this is one of the emails released by the House Oversight Committee recently, detailing an email chain between Jeffrey Epstein and his brother Mark. As you can see at the bottom, Mark and his brother Jeffrey are talking about Donald Trump at the beginning of this email chain. At one point, Epstein states that he's with Bannon. I'm assuming that's Steve Bannon. And then Mark Epstein, Jeffrey's brother, emails him and says, ask him if Putin still has the photos of Trump blowing Bubba. If you don't know, Bubba is a very common nickname for former U.S. President Bill Clinton, who Trump claims publicly that he hates, but who he has had a very close personal friendship with in the past. And I don't know about you, but I don't typically just grab my friends on the crotch. This is definitely a strange photo. If you even check out the top of that email chain, there's another weird message. And Mark Epstein, Jeffrey's brother, emails him saying, "You and your boy Donnie can make a remake of the movie Get Hard." Now, could this possibly be true? Could there potentially be photos of Donald Trump blowing Bubba, aka Bill Clinton? Obviously, I do not have the answers, but this is an official piece of information released by the US government, and this rabbit hole goes extremely deep. I talk about this stuff all the time on my channel, The Conspiracy Files, which you can listen.
Okay, so he thinks it's real? I remember that video of them meeting, but it wasn't him patting his crotch. So I think what happened is, if you're asking me, is that somebody just added something to the end of that, an AI, the end of that video, to make it look like he was tapping his crotch, but I don't think that ever happened. I could be wrong. Hey, I could be wrong. If the Russians have the video, then hey, let's see it. That would be probably one of the biggest payments anyone ever made for a video, if it was real, right? If it could be shown to be real. So I don't know if, allegedly they're saying a video exists where Donald Trump is giving oral sex to Bubba, aka Bill Clinton. Trump fans, the conspiracy theory flames as he says they added things to Epstein files after the election. So was something added to these files that wasn't actually in there, trying to make it seem that Trump or somebody else did something? Maybe. Nigerian gunmen abduct dozens of girls from boarding school after killing deputy head teacher. And chilling echo of Chibok kidnapping, so they just kidnap more girls in Nigeria. Unfortunately. There's also seems to be, in some of these countries, there's an active, I'm not sure if it's who's doing it, right? If it's the United States, if it's the Chabad Jews, if it's, the Khazarian Mafia, whoever, but there's some group of people that wants Christians in Africa to be killed by any means necessary. And especially in some of these African nations where there happens to be larger Christian communities and Christian people. Human trafficking soars in Blue City as gangs, highways fuel perfect storm of child exploitation. Experts Charlotte, North Carolina serves as a trafficking hub. No question. Charlotte, North Carolina, places like that, big cities along I-95 corridor, right? New York, parts of Philadelphia, parts of Pennsylvania, places like this are hubs where there's major cities along the I-95 corridor or near other corridors that link into the I-95 corridor, where safe houses can be rented for cheap in rural communities. Democratic Socialist launches bid to unseat Mayor Karen Bass in Los Angeles. So you're seeing now all these socialists are coming out of the woodwork. That's the real plan. We'll take the country to the left, far to the left. Make us the next USSS. What do you want to make us? Not the United States of America, not a constitutional republic, that's for sure. Trump admin to make food stamp recipients reapply for benefits. Uh-oh. Some of those people that are getting double payments now, they're not going to get them anymore, right? There was allegedly a SNAP card with $50,000 balance. John Voight urges Trump to terminate Zoran Mamdani's election victory to stop NYC from becoming a socialist crap city. I'm all for it. Go ahead and do it. I bet you he doesn't do it. I don't even think he could do it. Does he have the power to do it is the question. I'm not sure. I don't think so. NBA gambling probe is about to blow up as LeBron James' inner circle surrenders cell phones. Yeah, if you watch any of these, some of these guys who are into the number stuff, right, they can start to see the numberology and numerology stuff going into some of these things where it's all rigged, especially the NFL football. Pretty sure that NFL football's rigged, and some of this other stuff's rigged too, because Kansas City wasn't that good to win all those Super Bowls. Excuse me. U.S. extradites 5 fugitives to Chile, including 3 linked to foreign terrorist organization Tren de Aragua. The U.S. will no longer be a safe haven for members of Tren de Aragua who pose a threat to our public safety and national security, post-millennial. Trump calls for House GOP to vote for release of Epstein files. That's already been signed. The taller, white-haired Trump seems to have vanished. That's what I wrote. Former Bangladeshi PM sentenced to death for killing protesters. So the former Bangladeshi PM is just sentenced to death. That's pretty hardcore. Britain's Home Secretary set to unveil asylum immigration overhaul. Yeah, you need to deport a whole bunch of those Muslims that you just brought in. And then deport even more. Welp, so much for Trump's Gaza peace plan. It looks like that's in jeopardy now. Opinion piece, Miranda Devine. FBI Secret Service butchered the Thomas Crooks case and invited conspiracies. We deserve the truth. They didn't just butcher it. They basically knew who this kid was. Apparently he likes muscle mommies too. I'm not sure what a muscle mommy is. I guess he likes big muscular women because he's such a scrawny kind of kid. He doesn't seem to have much muscle tone. He likes some of those big steroid mamas, right? They get the sharp jaws and they have the deep voices because they take steroids. Seen some of these women at the gym that can lift more than I can lift. They can deadlift more. It's like, damn. Who are you, man? Paris Hilton breaks her silence on claims Ghislaine Maxwell tried to recruit her as Trump U-turns and urges the release of the Epstein files. Yeah, she was recruiting her for Epstein big time when she was like 19, 20, 18. She's young and blonde. But he couldn't, right? Because when he found out who her family was, he couldn't screw her over like that, right? Why? Because her family's rich and they're powerful. And they might. And he doesn't have... They got more power than Epstein, right? The Hilton family. They own a big ton of hotels. They're super, super rich. They're way bigger fish. He can't fuck around with their daughter like that and get away with it, right? He can only do it with people like Virginia Giuffre, whose father wasn't really around for her, right? Or girls who are from a split family with only one parent and another parent who was either sick or not really around much, right? Maybe the parent is a drug addict or something. That's the kind of girls that Epstein would prey on and Ghislaine Maxwell would prey on. They couldn't prey on Paris Hilton. She's too connected inside the system. She's too... she, even at that time, had too much... many eyes on her. And who was her assistant? Right? Don't forget, who used to be Paris Hilton's assistant? Kim Kardashian. Who was like a nobody at that point, right? Who knew nobody, who was nobody, who had no power of any kind and no money. She was Paris Hilton's assistant. That's all she was. Poland, explosion on train track, sabotage from foreign states. Poland is saying someone sabotaged their train tracks in their country. Ecuadorians reject plan to allow U.S. military bases. That's where they wanted to have the military base, in Ecuador, and they said, no, we don't want it. Smart. Very smart. Eric Adams meets with Netanyahu on taxpayer-funded Israel trip as he rips Mayor-elect Zoran Mamdani. So I said, what the hell's going on with Adams? He was in Azerbaijan. Now he's traveled to, I think he traveled to like Georgia, and then he goes back to Israel. He meets Netanyahu again, where he just met him. Like, something's very suspicious about what Adams is up to. And he's all doing this in a taxpayer dime, by the way. 100 Republicans are likely to vote for release of Epstein files. Massey? Yeah, they already did. It's coming out. Great. Are you going to release the 200 phones that you've triangulated to have been on the island? Are you going to release those people's names? I doubt it. They already covered up what happened on the island. He was allowed to fill in the tunnels and everything underneath. You're going to have to dig that all out with sledgehammers and pile drivers and all that shit, right? And construction equipment. You're going to have to dig the tunnels back out. You're going to have to dive around the island and find the bones. If you remember, the FBI was on Epstein Island and NYPD, but he was warned they were coming. He had a chance to clean everything up. Kash Patel's girlfriend gets protective detail from elite FBI SWAT team. How much did that cost us? How Washington Square Park's drug scene went from small-time weed dealers to a gang turf war with 2 celebrity kids. So what ended up happening was these gangs moved into Washington Square Park since there were no cops there doing anything, and they made it a drug sale area again, but for heavier drugs like fentanyl, heroin, and other stuff instead of just like dirt weed that you would go buy there. I never got a good bag of weed out of that park. Ever. And I think the last time, and that was when we were super young and we didn't have nowhere else to go, I tried to get one time some weed in Washington Square Park, and it was literally like dirt grass that was from the ground, I think. I don't even think it was real weed. And you're so nervous, right? You think the cops are going to grab you at any moment. You just want to get out of there quick. You don't really smell the bag too close, and then you give the guy the $10 for the dime bag, and you realize, I just got rooked. Shit. This isn't even freaking weed. If it is, it's some old-ass shit that's been sitting somewhere for like a year. It's dried out. It's crap. It's not like today where I can go into the dispensary if I want to smoke weed and find 25 different strains. Bombshell docs reveal alleged Chinese mole Linda's son forged Hochul's signature on gushing invites to Henan dignitaries. This is going to metastasize into something that could end up removing Hochul. She was infiltrated by China, as far as I could see. And not only is she infiltrated, but the mole that has infiltrated her is forging her signature on certain invites, which is a crime, right? You're forging the governor of New York's signature. If you can forge it on an invite, what else were you forging it for? Harvard's ex-president steps back in disgrace, Larry Summers, right? After emails are really cozied up to wingman Epstein for sex tips. Sarajevo human safari hunters must hang. Massacre survivors demand death penalty for tourists who paid to shoot civilians. Can you imagine when this breaks out really fully? It's literal human safari. And remember, there used to be human zoos, right? Back we talked about the human zoos that existed like in the early part of the 20th century and before, into the 19th century. Right? We saw that the Bronx Zoo had at one time had a man in the ape exhibit, right? In the chimpanzee exhibit, I believe, or one of the ape exhibits was a man, a human being, right? And in Europe, it wasn't uncommon to have human zoos that would have different, maybe indigenous tribes or different people in it. Same thing existed sort of at Coney Island, but where some indigenous tribes people would come and dance or display themselves, but it was different. It wasn't a zoo format per se, but the Bronx Zoo did do it. You can look it up. Go look up human zoos. In this case, it's human safari, where you're paying to slaughter human beings with a sniper rifle. Go look into Hostel, the movies. I believe those were actually real things that were going on in parts of Eastern Europe at one point. Well, yeah, if you had enough money, you can go to a place and, certain countries where there's not much police, and there's certain areas that are controlled by certain people. Otherwise, they can do whatever they want. Trump says he's willing to conduct strikes in Mexico to thwart drug smuggling operations. The Trump administration has largely attacked alleged drug boats from Venezuela in its fight against drug cartels. The administration has conducted over 20 strikes against the boats, which have killed over 80 alleged narco-terrorists. What about those creating and distributing fentanyl within the United States borders, I wrote, right? We're talking about, with Mike Gill's talking about Dick Anagost and groups of people that were not only money laundering and doing different things through casinos and sports betting things, doing different illegal actions, but also fentanyl production as well within the United States that's going on. It's not happening from... it's not just cartel that's doing it. It's people within the United States that have been caught with fentanyl in fentanyl networks, right? So there's people within the United States that they're ignoring, and there's networks that are within the United States that are being ignored that are really doing a lot of the distribution, is my guess. Illinois mayor declares civil emergency over credible bomb threat amid anti-ICE protests. I will not allow threats of violence or intimidation to disrupt the essential functions of our government. So she's trying to create a state of emergency where she can take power and then try to, get ICE to leave? I don't know. Democratic senator fires staffer who posed as a legal alien lawyer to spring him from ICE custody. That's unbelievable. You should have fired that person the same day they did that. Or was that your plan, and now you have to fire them to make it look like you're doing the right thing? I think that was your plan, right? and you'll get them a job somewhere else, right? Chaos online as massive Cloudflare outage cripples half the internet. Yeah, there was that Cloudflare outage was a big deal. There was a lot of sites down, couldn't get to. Was that a preemptive thing that they're going to try to take the whole internet down? Maybe. It's time for these EBT things. If you're going to have it, it's time to do it already. People are at a breaking point where they want to see something happen, some justice, and we're not seeing it. Is AI Atlas filled with good aliens that are going to show up here and go, hey man, we're going to save you, what's up? We're finally here, we're going to bring you together as one species finally. Yeah, you've been lied to, here's all the information they kept from you. We'll be giving that program out. We're not going to hurt you. Here's some med beds. We're going to go away, and we're not coming back for a while. We just wanted to let you know we're here, and we're here with you, and if you need us, we're here, and if you want to visit us, you can, but otherwise, we're going to let you ascend, but we want to help you a little bit. We know you need some help. I mean, we need some help here, right? Who's really the good guy in all this? Is it Trump? Is it not Trump? Is it somebody else that we can't see working in the background that we don't know? If it is, I don't know who they are. Cloudflare outage hamstrings websites. Bitcoin drops below 92,000. It erased all the gains of the whole year right there, boom, right at the end. Could it come back? Sure. It's been known to move, but there's really a bunch of big whales that are holding most of the Bitcoin is my guess, and when they all unload, you better not be in it. It'll be too late, and you won't be able to get out, and by the time you do, it'll probably be at 20 or 30,000 or less, and you'll be fucked, right? If you bought it at higher than that. That's the problem with that. You don't hold it in your hand, and you can't sell it real quick. If there's a real problem and the market's tanking, you won't be able to get out, trust me. It'll be too many people trying to do the same thing at the same time, and you'll be stuck. You'll be lucky to get out. I remember I was in one of those cryptos, and I was trying to get out of it when it went up a lot, and I couldn't, and I got stuck. And I was trying to take out the money because I was up big, and I couldn't get out. Criticism of British PM Keir Starmer mounts over asylum reform plans. You got to remove way more people than you're doing. You're not doing it. Same with Trump. He's got to remove way more people. He'll never be able to do it in the 4 years that he has, if he has 4 more years. So what is he really doing? He's distracting you from the stuff that you really should be doing that he's never going to do, like the free energy, the Tesla towers, the teleforce, anti-gravitic craft, med beds, other hidden technology. Quiet piggy. Trump in total meltdown at female reporter as he's grilled over the Epstein files. I think he actually called this reporter piggy, which I couldn't believe he did. Talk about a complete insult. Did he really say that? Hang on a second. This is the fake Trump that you could see with the orange hair, with the more blondish hair, right? Here's Trump saying, quiet piggy. Quiet piggy. He did say it, and he pointed right at her, but then Donald Trump shouted, quiet piggy, at female reporter. Why did she take that? That's the fake Trump, though. You could see his hair is different. Trump greenlights sale of stealth jets to Saudi Arabia. Wait a minute, what'd you just do? You selling them stealth bombers? That's our highest, most secretive tech. Nobody else has that but us. Why would you let the Saudis have it for? What need do they have of having that kind of aircraft? And then, of course, Trump says that they're a non-NATO partner now, and he elevated Saudi Arabia for some reason. Why would you do that? Why would you give away our biggest tech to these people? Some of our most protected technology, the B-2 stealth bomber, away to one of our supposed allies. We're about to enter a blood pact with the devil. Excuse me. Trump, I beg you to think again. This is a dangerous and costly mistake. He's talking about, I think, Afghanistan. What is he talking about? Speaking exclusively to the Daily Mail, the veteran Army officer turned YouTuber slammed the push for a sweeping U.S.-Saudi defense pact. Yeah, he's talking about selling them the B-2 bombers, the same. What are you doing? Right? What are you doing? Why would you sell the Saudis one of our most prized tech that no one else has? USDA identifies widespread SNAP irregularities, including a $50,000 EBT balance and multi-state benefits case. Yeah, there's some people that are getting it in multiple states. How can you get $50,000 on an EBT card? How is that even possible? Unless you're getting the EBT of, say, 6 or 7 different people to that one card somehow? No, that couldn't be it. Maybe you're getting double payments. That could be it. And you're not using it much. Ethiopia confirms outbreak of lethal Marburg virus. I keep seeing them talk about this in the past. Now they're saying it's back out again. Whoopi Goldberg announces she wants a major government job. We're in Trump's administration. Good luck. You're not going to get anything. Yeah, you can clean the toilets in the White House. How about that? I'll give you the janitor's job. You can clean You can clean up Trump's shit and piss. Beyond vitamin D, the hidden healing powers of sunlight. Yeah, I can't tell you how important it is. Like I said, what's part of the other reason that sunlight's good for you if you want to be somebody like a guy working out or you want to promote muscle growth? Go into the sun after you work out or the next day. Great idea. If you live somewhere where you can do it, like Florida, that's why a lot of people work out in those places, California, where it's warm, Arizona. Try to get in the sun and do a little sun gazing early in the morning, where you're looking into the sun for very brief periods of time, maybe 5 seconds, maybe 3. Not too long, right? You don't want to go blind, but if you sun gaze a little bit, you'll start, and then close your eyes, you'll start to see those blue and different colors, and you'll see something's happening. That's what I started to see when I started to sun gaze more. I think it helps you open up your third eye as well. It can definitely promote muscle growth and, after a workout as well, right? So it's obviously good to, you want to produce that natural growth instead of having to use some kind of steroids to grow, right? If you let your body grow naturally, it's the best way. So make sure you're getting, that's why they made it so you couldn't go to the beach during COVID, remember? When these couple was just sitting on the beach, nobody within 50 yards of them on either side, hey, you got to go home. Why? I'm trying to get some sun and get better. We don't want that. We want you in your house, out of the sun, cut off from your friends and family, depressed, and we want you vibrating at a low vibration for as long as possible, so we can hold back the ascension process that humanity's going through, and they can't do it anymore. We're on to you, baby. Bill and Hillary refused to appear before the House Oversight Committee for Epstein deposition, says Rep. Anna Paulina Luna. So they're not coming. They said, we're not coming in. What are you going to do about it? And they're both so old that they're about to both check out any minute now, right? Even if you did put them in jail, they'd probably be dead within a year. They're not going to do any considerable jail time. Trump let them off the hook. The Clinton Foundation still operating today. I just saw something about the Clinton Foundation today. It's still open. Washington resident hospitalized with virus never before seen in humans. Whoa, that's interesting. Where'd that come from? You didn't happen to release it on somebody, did you? Is he patient 0? I don't think so, but I think they're trying to do something like that. It's not going to be allowed to happen. Stephen Miller reveals a shocking statistic. 40% of rent-controlled housing in New York City is occupied by foreign-born population. That's unbelievable if that's true. That's why there's such a shortage. All you got to do is get rid of those people. They're not American citizens. They're not supposed to be here, and they're definitely not supposed to be getting rent-controlled housing. And if they're not here, if they're here illegally and they get removed, well, that means that 40% of your rent-controlled stock is going to be available for the people that really need it, which is New Yorkers who don't have enough money to afford to live, right? That's why there's such a shortage. Larry Summers resigns from OpenAI board following firestorm over Epstein ties. Yeah. You're probably another pedophile too. That's why you like to be around younger kids, like in Harvard and these things. You like to be around young people a lot. right? Teachers, coaches. You got to look at everybody with with a really fine tooth comb now, especially anybody that's around your kids. New York City unveils futuristic new sidewalk shed set to replace the unsightly scaffolding. Yeah, it's not. It's a little better. It's like they're slanted more in, so more light. I guess it's not as oppressive. But the whole thing is, why do we need these sheds for? If everybody would just take care of their buildings properly, the stuff wouldn't deteriorate and fall on people's heads. Or maybe you could have netting or something, some kind of super strong double netting that goes above the street, so it's not these oppressive sheds that make all this noise to put up. You got to make a shed that's quieter, that's easy to put up, that doesn't have all these metal poles that you have to drill in place, and it makes a ton of noise. That's the problem. And they're ugly. Muslim group CARE is cutting $1,000 checks for anti-Israel agitators who have been disciplined by colleges. Yeah, they're paying people to do these protests, to go outside a synagogue and protest. Right, there was just a protest outside a synagogue here in New York with about 100 or 200 people showed up. So these guys have enough money to pay those people each $1,000 to just show up, and it looks like there's this big movement, but there really isn't. Right. Outgoing New York City Mayor Adams is flying around the world on the taxpayer-funded trips, hunting for his next job. I wrote, "What the f is this guy doing? What the hell is this? The heck is this guy doing?" Excuse me. Right? Why are you flying around on the taxpayer's dime looking for another job when your job's not even over here yet? Who's running the city right now? Doesn't appear you are. Mamdani inflames critics by backing hardline Muslim who blames white Americans for 9/11. Texas designates CARE Muslim Brotherhood as terrorist organizations, UPI. Yeah, they are. They should have been designated that a long time ago. Hakeem Jeffries becomes latest Dem stung by Epstein files as he insists he never met the billionaire. NTSB investigation blames faulty wiring for the Baltimore Bridge disaster. You're telling me there was just some wiring that brought that whole thing down? That made them crash into the bridge? I find that hard to believe. One little wire, huh? Silver was up $1.46 the other day. For a time, it wasn't up that much at the end of the day. Pulled back a bit, but let's see what it ended up doing now. We haven't checked it in a while. Silver's down 78 cents to $50.79. Gold's down $18.80 to $4,077. Cryptos don't look too good. Billionaire Tom Steyer announces campaign to be California's governor. Here's another guy I wouldn't trust. Deep state controlled guy. He's a billionaire. Death of 15 miners stirs Colombian debate on attacking armed groups. These people are dropping like artillery shells on people over there. They're on groups of people now. Stacey Plaskett defends relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. There's a lot of people who have done a lot of crimes. There are a lot of people who have done a lot of crimes, and as a prosecutor, you get information from people where you can. Yeah, even from previously indicted pedophiles, right? You happen to have on your phone speed dial. So the other day I went to the cash machine and it was giving out old 20s again, from like the 90s, 2000s period, the older 20s, without all the hologram stuff in it. Just wanted to note that. Bitcoin was down 12% on the week, went under 90,000. Ethereum was under 3,000 at one point, I think. Stacey Plaskett defends her relationship with Epstein. I don't know how you defend that, but go ahead. New York City's Madoff of landlords defaults on $170 million in loans and faces foreclosure on 35 Manhattan properties. So I got a story to tell you about me and this person. So I said when I do my next show, stay tuned. This person owns over 100 buildings, I believe, at this time. In New York, we call that pretty much a whale. One of them. The question is, why default on 35 buildings now when Mamdani's coming into office? That's interesting to me. This guy's a Jewish guy who owned... I used to work for this guy, who was actually the first person I ever worked for in the real estate business when he was nobody. Right? He had about 5 buildings that his dad left him after he died in the village. So they were worth, considerable cash even at that time. And he used those 5 buildings to leverage himself and get loans and acquired many, many more properties and buildings over, especially in the early to mid 90s period, which is when I first got into real estate. Anyway, I didn't know who this guy was. He wasn't a bad landlord then. He became worse over time. And I had long been gone from his employ before he became super huge and a super whale. Of course, if I had stayed in his employ, I probably would have been huge. He liked me. I got lucky when I first started there. I actually did a deal like right away almost. One of my first clients they gave me was, I did a small one-bedroom apartment deal on Sullivan Street for about $800 a month rent at the time. Girl was a student who was moving to the city, loved the apartment. It had those French doors with the bathtub outside of the bathroom, right? So you go up a couple stairs to the bathtub, and then there was a toilet and sink in the little bathroom right next to that had a door. So it was like kind of cool, old style tenement apartment that some people liked. That it had the charming French doors. Boom, she wanted it right away. She went to the bank and got the money. We did the deal right there. Bing, bang, boom. Anyway, I just wanted to note that I used to work for this person. I never did anything wrong in real estate. He was the one that started to do crazy stuff with, if you get overextended, you have so many different buildings. The amount of money you're talking about that needs to get paid out every month is a vast amount. And, maybe he got stretched too thin in one area or another. We don't know. But he's defaulting on 35 buildings. He has 100 more, over 100 buildings. So he may still be able to, I don't know if he can avoid jail time. We'll see. He was in jail in 2017. Unfortunately, that was the first person I ever worked for. But when he was like a nobody, And then I ended up leaving and going to another shop that somebody opened up that ended up going out of business. So I kind of got screwed there. I should have stayed with him for a while, but not really, because he was doing something the wrong way. You learned how to do real estate the wrong way, not the right way. Awkward moment. Jeffrey Epstein is asked about his egg-shaped penis in resurfaced video and his creepy reaction. His penis looks like an egg, I guess. I'm not sure how that works, what that looks like. I don't even want to really know. APMEX just started selling $20 trillion and other large denomination Zimbabwe notes from 2008. Interesting. So I just wanted to note that I have no affiliation with APMEX site. I use it sometimes if I want to purchase something or to check the price of silver, but I don't get paid by them, and I don't tell you to buy anything from them, right? You can go to JM Bullion. There's plenty of other sites you can go to that buy gold and silver. It's up to you. I just wanted to note that they have now Zimbabwe notes, which I didn't believe they were selling before. Let me see where I can find those. Where were they under? Deals, something? Currency, maybe. Hang on. Zimbabwe notes. Okay, so you remember back in 2008, right? Zimbabwe actually had $100 trillion note that they printed. Here it is, right? And this one is going for $120. And the rumor was, right, that when they reevaluate these currencies, that this was actually a bearer bond note, and that you could trade this in and you'd get, $100 trillion. But how could that be, right? How would there be enough money to pay out all the people that bought this? Or maybe you'd get $1, some amount, but not 100 trillion. But I just noticed that they started selling different notes, right? Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, right? When the country got so, the currency became so devalued that they had to issue a $100 trillion note, right? So I just wanted to note that they're selling those now. Does that mean that there's going to be a revaluation? I have no idea. I don't know how long they've been selling those, but I just noticed that they are selling them. And of course, people had said years ago, "Oh, those aren't going to be anything. You're never going to get anything like what that's worth, because how could they pay them all out? There wouldn't be enough money to pay all the. If 50,000 people have $100 trillion Zimbabwe note, how are they going to pay them all $100 trillion? That's a lot of money, no? Here's the Epstein email Hakeem Jeffries really doesn't want you to see. Plaskin and Jeffries linked to Epstein, now more to come, right? They're at least linked to him, and Plaskett's linked to him late in the game after he's a known pedophile. He's known to have been already been indicted for it, right? Why are you still? Why is he on your speed dial? Why is he texting you? Why are you texting him? How did you come in contact with him? Why did you come in contact with him? Oversight Chairman James Comer launches investigation into Soros-linked group's secretive chorus program. That's another thing that might be coming out. So we got Hanjog-Weiss, we got Soros, and there's others who are doing this, who are destabilizing us. China. Glow, baby, glow. Trump administration approves $1 billion loan to restart 3 Mile Island reactor. So right there, that's just, what does that tell you? Is he going to release Teleforce weapon? Is he going to release anything that Tesla ever did? Is he going to release Tesla towers? No. He just approved $1 billion loan to open up an old nuclear reactor that had failed. The article's behind a paywall, but I just wanted to show you that Trump's not giving you free energy anytime soon. He never even mentioned it. He never mentioned Tesla towers. Cory Booker's public call to Al Schumer sends Democrats deeper into chaos. Yeah, they gotta get rid of Schumer, but who are you gonna replace him with? AOC? Thune rebuffs House GOP push to repeal controversial Senate provision ahead of vote. Tom Homan puts New York on notice. Get ready, enforcement surge coming to New York City. Let's go. Let's see it. Muslim Dearborn mayor dismisses complaints about the mosque's loud call to prayer. You need to deport a lot of these people because now you got the mayor as a Muslim guy, right? And he says, well, it's not that loud. But the woman had a decibel level meter and she measured it and it's over 78 decibels or 70 decibels, which is what the law states. Which means that if you're doing that 2 or 5 times a day, it's a noise problem. Now, I can make a noise complaint against your mosque and you're not going to get a ticket and have to lower the decibel level of your call to prayer. It actually shouldn't happen at all. No other religion gets to do that, really, right? Although on Sunday they used to ring the church bells, right? But they wouldn't ring them 5 times a day. They'd ring them 1 time in the morning and, hey, you got to come to church, right? Whenever church was, a noon time or whatever it was, right? Some towns would have a church service at a certain time, right? It's 10 o'clock a.m. Okay, the bells are ringing. Hey, we're going to start soon. But then that would be it, right? And those bells, by the way, are a good tone to hear. Right? And I'm not saying that the Muslim call to prayer might not be a good tone, but if I'm not Muslim, I don't want to hear that 5 times a day, every single day. How am I going to sell my house to somebody with that noise going on 5 times a day, every day? No one's going to want to live here. You're hurting my property value. And you're hurting my ears. You're affecting my life. My day-to-day life is being affected with this noise that I don't want to hear. While you may find it beautiful that it's your religious practice, it's not mine. Right? And I'm the majority here, not you. Well, that's fast changing in a place like Michigan where the Muslims are moving into certain areas and taking over those areas completely. South Africa rejects Palestinian refugees, claims Israel is ethnically cleansing Gaza. I can show you videos of people that are saying it's actually the opposite. It's the Palestinians who are trying to ethnically cleanse the Jews. So both sides are saying that they're trying to ethnic cleanse the other side in a sense, right? You have the Palestinians have this thing from the Gaza to the ocean, from this saying that they have. Well, that saying means they want to wipe all the Jews out from both sides of Israel. All sides of Israel, they want them gone. And the Jews are now saying, hey, we want these people gone because they keep attacking us and we can't be safe around them and we don't trust them. And the Palestinians are saying these people have been killing us. They're shooting us. They're an authoritarian regime over us. They have a wall around us. And so you'll never have peace, right? You'll never have each side at peace with each other because they don't want that. They want religious strife at all costs, keeping the vibration of the humanity down. Chuck Schumer malfunctions when pressed on Biden hiding the Epstein files. Yeah, it's Biden that never brought anything out. They're saying Trump didn't, but Trump didn't either. In his first 4 years, why didn't he bring these files out then? Because you're in them somewhere, right? Probably. Your name comes up in them a lot. Your name is there, right? In some of this stuff. You knew Ghislaine Maxwell for many years. You knew her father. You were meeting in secret meetings with him and other people aboard his yacht in 1989. You were planning out what the Bush presidency was going to look like and who was going to be in it. You were working with these people. You were working with people who would then, some of whom would then be in Bush Senior's cabinet and within his orbit. Active short video use linked to altered attention and brain connectivity, right? That's what I'm talking about with these short videos now that they're doing with the TikTok. You got to stop watching that shit. Get off that Reels. Get off all that shit. They got it on Instagram too. It's addictive. It totally is. And you could do it. I found myself doing it once for like an hour straight, and all of a sudden I came out. I was like almost like a hypnotic state, dude. Going from reel to reel to reel, not even realizing how much time. It's like it's sick. It's something's wrong, very bad about it. And you could get drawn into it real easy. You don't even realize you're doing it half the time. They're really trying to shorten our attention spans down to so short that you can never watch a documentary on anything, so you'll never learn anything really. Your cognitive skills will be zero, right? That's the thing, is how can I actively listen, right? It's like when you used to go in college courses, you got to be able to actively listen. To extract the information the teacher's saying, not every word is I need to write down. What words and sentences do I need to write down that the teacher's talking about? What concepts is he or she talking about that I need to write down, right? This kind of stuff is wiping out that part of your brain that does does cognitive skills. Crypto cash wipes out as $1 trillion. AI bubble fears escalate. It's starting to look like that bubble's about to burst. Where does Bitcoin have to get to till the whales get scared? 60,000, 75, 50? I don't know. My point is, you don't want to be in Bitcoin when the whales start to get scared and sell. It'll be too late for your ass. MIT's new ultrasonic device extracts clean water from the air 45 times faster. The development overcomes the slow, energy-intensive process of releasing water from highly absorbent materials. So they're starting to get new ways to create water out of thin air, right? There's ways to do it. Homan says ISIS found 30,000 illegal alien children who were trafficked under Biden, but there was 400,000 that went missing, right? Or 30,000, or 300,000. Why wouldn't everyone want the Epstein files released? Well, if they already know whose phones pinged while on the island, then why don't they release those people's names? The 200 people, right? If they know whose phone pinged on the island already, somebody has that information. Why is it not being released? Is Donald Trump's name one of those 200 names? I don't know. But if it is, then his political career is probably over. If the photo exists of the models on his lap topless, his political career is most likely over. There's several things that could end his career right now having to do with Epstein if they come out, right? Because even Epstein in his emails is saying, I got the stuff to get Trump, he's saying. But he never, if he does have it, he doesn't release it, right? But he's in jail during Trump's first term, if you remember, so he couldn't release it at some point. Does the brother have something? We don't know. Why are the 200 phones that were pinged and we know were triangulated to have been on Epstein Island, why are those people's identities not being shared with the public? Zoran Mamdani now says the NYPD should respond to domestic violence incidents. Yeah, you're damn right they should. Those are some of the most violent things. Cops have been killed trying to stop some of those. You're going to send a social worker in with no weapon into that scenario that doesn't know how to fight and handle themselves physically? They're going to freaking get murdered in there. Someone's going to get really hurt or killed, and probably both. Hurt, and then somebody will be killed. Because you get one drunk guy in there and he's out of control and he's angry, and yeah, do a lot of damage. A big drunk man can do a lot of damage. And you don't want to be in a close quarters with a big drunk guy who's out of control, right? It's hard to fight in close quarters, first of all, and second of all, it's harder when you're grappling with some big drunk asshole. And you happen to be some social worker with maybe, you never even, I don't know. There's a lot of people that never got into any kind of violence before. It's when violence is done upon you, it's different than doing violence onto someone, right? And then there's some people have had violence done upon them and then done violence onto someone from that. And then some people have violence done upon them and they fold, right? It's only two ways you can really go at it. You either fold or you don't, right? And if sometimes you have no choice but to fold. If you're a woman and it's a guy and he's bigger and stronger, you're going to get hurt. You can't send social workers into domestic violence or any kind of thing like that. To answer at all, except for someone that maybe want to commit suicide and need someone to talk to. I get it then. Maybe as a hostage negotiator, that would be about it. And there's already specialists that are trained to do that work. You wouldn't just want a social worker doing it. You want a trained, FBI has trained, people that train for years to be a hostage negotiator, right? To deal with very tense situations where people's lives hang in the balance. The Toyota chairman was sponsored with MAGA attire on. Yeah, he looks like he's going to put $1 billion into a new plant, but are you going to fill that plant with Japanese people instead of American workers like the other guys did from South Korea? Is that why you're doing this? Because you want to make your product here cheaper and have your people come over here and make it cheaper? Well, we pay a fortune for those Toyota cars. Go try to buy a Toyota Highlander. You know how much money that costs? Huge, expensive cars. But they're great cars. Toyota makes one of the best cars there is. The Camry, the Corolla, super well-made cars. Like I said, my family had multiple Toyota Corollas growing up. They never broke down as far as I could tell. I had one of those 13 years and never broke down once. Got well over 100,000 miles out of it and it started to break down a little bit, but they're good cars. You can get 300,000 out of a good Toyota Corolla if you take care of it, Depending if you're in a northeastern state, you're going to have some rust issues, right? If you're out west, no. Those cars' chassis last way longer. Did you hear Melania Trump's dystopian speech? She mentioned a brave new world. And if you haven't read the book, I say you should. It's by Ray Bradbury, I believe. It's not a long read. You can read it in probably a day or two if you have a good reading comprehension. If you don't, it might take you a few more days. I read of Mice and Men like in 3 or 4 hours. It's super easy reads. Like some books like that are super fast. They're not long. Catcher in the Rye, super fast reads. You could read that in an afternoon if you really get into it. I remember watching my mom as a kid reading like the book Shogun, which I think was like a 1,000-page book. I don't like reading 1,000-page books, man. Is it going to be a brave new world or is it going to be a new world order that they're trying to put in? And is Trump helping them do it? Because it sure looks like Trump's helping them do it to me. He's not giving you free energy. He's not giving you med beds. We're watching our loved ones have to get old and shrivel up and die on us when they maybe don't have to, right? I'm not going to stop pushing until the end of the story because I want to get there. I want this archive to be complete. I want people to know what some people had to go through these last 5 or 6 years to get to this point that we're at, where we're close. But could we have already been over the hump if all these people that are holding us back every step of the way could be removed? And how long are we going to sit back and watch these liars continue to lie to us and push fear porn upon us until we shut their channels down forever and they don't make any money anymore? And they're exposed as the liars they are, like 107 and those people. Is Trump going to be the real guy that comes out and is the EBTs going to happen and 10 days of darkness like these people have been claiming is going to happen for years and never does? It doesn't seem like their version of what's going to happen has been correct. Did I miss anything here? Smokey Robinson is now being accused of sexual battery by a man. His 2 former workers joined the lawsuit. He's 85. Andrew had consensual sex with one of Epstein's employees. There's a civil emergency now in Chicago, order issued after anti-ICE riots, bomb and death threats. Those are probably fake. Here's the anti-Semitic mob that descended on a New York City synagogue. It wasn't too big. They're saying it was 200 people. It doesn't look like it that big. Radical Islamist organization Muslim Brotherhood is infiltrating U.S. colleges to transform Western society. Yeah, I mean, we're We're getting infiltrated from China, from Russia, from all these different countries at the same time. Mamdani suggests he'll disobey U.S. law in New York City's and city of international law, he's saying. If Netanyahu comes to the city when he's mayor, he'll have him arrested. Okay. Florida Congresswoman charged with stealing $5 million in FEMA funds. Congresswoman Sheila Cherfilis McCormick, Democrat from Florida, and several co-defendants with stealing federal disaster funds, laundering the proceeds, and using the money to support her 2021 congressional campaign. Wow. That's unbelievable. Ex-GOP aide paid a fetish artist to mutilate her and claimed it was an anti-Trump attack. So this girl claimed that 3 men ambushed her in a nature trail, and one of them carved called her a Trump whore and wrote Trump whore on her stomach. That was all bullshit. It was like the other faked incidents that people's made up, like some guy tried to say, oh, this person wrote the N-word in the school, remember that? And it was fake, he wrote it. Same bullshit over and over again. Agitation propaganda over and over and over again. So there's AI Atlas. I mean, what is that? I don't know. It doesn't look like a comet to me. Looks pretty amazing, whatever it is. What's in that ball of light in the middle? That looks like the bright light that I see in sometimes at night. But it's just completely white. It's not yellow. This is yellow and purple and green and like all kinds of cool colors. Like, what is this thing? Trump blasts seditious behavior as Dems urge military to ignore illegal orders. That sounds like sedition to me. So it's been a long show, my friends. I don't know how many I got in me, like I said. Unfortunately, my father passed, and I wasn't able to see the med beds come out in time to save another family member of mine, another pet of mine that died in the past too, and others that have lost so much in this fight. We've all lost so much time. We've lost other patriots who've lost their lives in this fight who haven't lived to see the day that it comes, and I'm starting to think that I might not see it. I'm starting to wonder if I'll ever see that day come. I don't mean to be negative. I try to always stay positive, but I'm not seeing what our salvation is. What is the method of our salvation going to be? How do we free ourselves from the people who have been poisoning us, lying to us, made us into capital, made us into money from the corporation, an asset of the corporation? How do we get our human sovereignty back? What does that look like? How is Trump going to be either removed, or does he do the right thing finally and some other form of him comes out and starts to do the right thing? Because it's not happening now. We're not even seeing people like Pfizer even be held to account. Instead, they're having presidential dinners and galas and are attending galas with the president and sitting next to Elon Musk. So I had a little bit of notes real quick, and then I'll let you go. I know it's been 2.5 hours. I'm tired, but I just want to finish up strong. Here's some notes from November. Is AI Atlas good aliens or not? Or is it just a comet and it's nothing more? I think it's something more, but when I think about it, I don't feel like it's evil. So I'll just leave it there. We'll have to wait and see if anything happens. Do they try to do some kind of fake alien invasion that I don't think is going to be able to pull it off? Are we making sure, is maybe AI Atlas just people that are making sure that we, in this critical moment, don't make the wrong move and the right moves are made? Let's hope so. So we know that fentanyl is being pushed in the United States cities, but it's also being made here. We know that now. Well, China brings in a lot of the precursors to Mexico and other places to be made and brought into the United States. We also are making it here. I'm trying to make connections to Dick Anagost, to the fentanyl one, to fentanyl being moved into the country. Trump pardoned Powell and Giuliani, you noticed, right? Why did he do that when they'd been out of the public eye, especially Powell, for some time? What is Powell's real connection to people like General Flynn and others who I don't trust, and who Trump never mentioned again after he was removed from his, he didn't really try to bring Flynn back, right? Why not, if he's a good guy in this? Are a lot of these shooters just MK Ultra people? Are they chipped? How are they making these kids shoot people? And I just wanted to note also about the black walnut, cloves, and wormwood. Maybe look into that more in terms of treating pathogens, and do your own research and your own due diligence, of course. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not a trained doctor. I'm not in the medical field. I do have an extreme interest in homeopathic medicine and homeopathic cures for things that I think I always try to look for a homeopathic cure to something before I go to the hospital, right? But I'm not saying don't go to the hospital if you don't feel well. I'm just saying that my dad went to the hospital and he never came back out. So sometimes you go to the hospital and you never come back out, right? Then you have the doctor gives you a death certificate, right? He certifies that you have now died, and the corporation is now not profiting off of that asset. That asset is now terminated, dead. A death certificate is issued, and bonds are probably still issued against the dead man's name. That's where we are, friends. We're still here. We're still fighting. We still have not got to the end of the battle. And I don't know what that looks like. I don't know when that comes, but I'm telling you, I'm just tired. I can tell you that much. And I can feel that if there aren't some concrete results coming out soon, that some people are going to lose a lot of confidence in Trump. It's already happening. And if anything out of these Epstein files comes out, that pictures or other that connects them to it more, it's going to be devastating for him, I think. That's why I think they've been slow rolling it coming out so long, and a lot of Dems are going to go down with that too. So friends, I hope you're well, working out stretching, staying in your center space. Using the I am attribution if you so choose to simply say I am and something positive about yourself each day. You can speak your reality into existence. What you say is important. Hopefully we can keep the positive vibrations going more and more as we ascend into the next density and destroy this matrix once and for all. So friends, I hope you're well. This is your friend in New York, Ash, NPMP News, signing off for now.